I had to figure out which one was the right one for us. What's up, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny for the Best Gaming Podcast number 557? 556?
556.
556. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in. Yeah, there was a bit of the stutter, the video at the starting. Apologize for that. I knew there was an issue and had actually forgotten up until the very time I hit start. But appreciate it. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. What do we got? Steam Deck stuff? We got the mobile. Did you see the thing about Windows saying that they they now have rolled out the mobile experience to all the other handhelds? So that's pretty cool. So
no, I missed that.
Yeah, it's not just the ROG Ally. It's the whole thing. It's rolling out to everybody. Anti-Sky's making love to you once again in chat. Always very creepy. Always super disturbing whenever I see him post. What
How
else
you doing?
do we have? I want to talk about, you and I were doing the suggestions of hard games and easy games for newcomers. And this morning somebody asked what a game or what would be an easy newcomer game for the first person shooter like group. The answers were hilarious. It was like literally the most confusing games were instantly suggested. They were like, Borderlands. And I'm like, dude, seriously, look at Borderlands. Like when it comes to numbers and cracking codes and understanding shift codes and all this shit, it's like that is not the game you want to be playing. You don't want to give like a 7-year-old that game. There was a lot of really cool stuff. There was a lot of really cool suggestions, but it was funny as hell.
Yeah, like me last time recommending Elden Ring.
Yeah,
as
that's
your
what I
first.
want to talk about. Yeah, I want to talk about just like the ideas also of ultimately like what we think is a good starting game for some of these, because there is a lot of different starting games that you could jump, like Wolfenstein. Somebody said there is a lot of different games you could start into, but you have to really understand that if somebody's 8 or 9, what we think is simple is because we have years of vested interest and brain power around these
assumed knowledge on a lot of gaming things.
My dogs. Yeah, assume knowledge around all this other stuff. And so it's just a little difficult. How's your week been, by the way?
Honestly, pretty good. Definitely, better, on the right track. And the kind of holiday season is coming up soon. It's going fast,
This was compared to last week, I think you were saying, because last week was a rough one.
Yeah, last week was a bit of a rough one. But yeah, I'm getting my feet under me.
My dogs are really loud.
What about you?
I apologize.
Are they? We didn't hear anything.
You say a couple things, and then I hear rough in the middle. So it's like you were all, my weekend's rough. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he didn't say that.
Rough.
Like,
yeah.
I'm absolutely sure he didn't say that. It's been insanely busy. I forgot the different, like times for different stuff. So we came in super late. YouTube didn't send the notifications. I know that. Found that out. Didn't send the notifications for the video yesterday. I heard one woof podcast ruin. Dude, they're losing their fucking mind. I'm probably going to have to go out there and like shoo them away from the door. Anyway, yeah, it's been rough, man. It's just been like one of those weeks where you think it's Tuesday and it's Friday. And you're just like, like that's sort of the way the entire week has gone, man. It's been actually pretty rough in that way, like speeding through the week. What have you been, while you answer this, I mean, I'm going to get him away from the door because this is killing my soul. What have you been playing for the weekend?
So I've been doing a second playthrough of Dispatch where I'm making some different decisions and finally understanding how the actual dispatch worked. For some reason, my entire first playthrough, I didn't know there was a synergy. No joke. I just didn't even see that in the UI. Mm-hmm. That there was a synergy thing. And so that was hilarious because I sent a bunch of people alone, especially early on. So I never even discovered synergies.
Gotcha.
And I never saw that menu that, showed the synergy going on. So that was really funny. But exploring that and making some different decisions all around. So this playthrough is all around Invisigal and like exploring her kind of dialogue options. Like if you kind of go all in on her choices and stuff. So it's been pretty cool. I haven't finished it yet, but I've already seen a lot of different, voice lines and kind of ways stuff kind of happens. It's been pretty cool to see that.
I was really disappointed
does make a difference
in how much they force you at the end of that game. Yeah, I played it twice. My decisions were pretty in line with what I wanted, but then we were watching somebody play it in streaming in the channel, and they were like, "Well, that's weird. Through the entire game I've done this, and at the very ending this one thing happened, and now all the characters are treating me different, and I feel like it's all been burned away." So I started looking into it, and super disappointing. It's really terrible decision on their part. But basically, what happens is, without like spoiling anything, you have you have two major love interests. One basically is always on the precipice of being lost, and it's not who you think it is. Which was actually pretty sad, because basically it's one of those games that sets you up to think you have a 50-50, or it's free will, I guess. But at the very end, certain things happen where 90% can go to zero, and you're just done. There's no, it's like, if this happens, boom, and you're screwed. So I started looking into the tracking that game does, and even the tracking suggests that they really funnel you, like they hyper funnel you towards a very particular thing rewarding you more, which is nice for me because I didn't play it that way, probably because I could feel that they were pushing. I have no clue, but I played pretty much exactly the opposite. But when I started looking into people who are tracking points you get in the tracking system, you get like points for, basically it's like the hero point for you as a dispatcher, and started looking into it. It was really disappointing. Like, I don't quite know why a company or why somebody would be like, oh, you have this kind of stuff, but at the very end, if you make this one switch, all the stuff, or this one decision, which isn't a big one. Admittedly, I feel like I was with Solar and a couple other, I was like, does that feel like the biggest decision in the world? Do we feel like that was 90%, 10%? Now it's 10%, 90%? And everybody in there was really disappointed in that ending. It was just like, why the fuck would you ever waste your time telling people you have all this stuff? And we've seen it before, but I do want to point that out, because I had people come at me and they were like, you said this and this character. You said, they are right. The way I played it, it did feel like it was somewhat open to different whatever.
That's how it felt to me. I think I made the same decision when it comes to the romantic option as you, because we talked about it. So I had a similar experience as you, and so I haven't gotten to that end part with this new kind of like set of decisions. So it's going to be interesting to see how things pan out. I haven't seen other people play it and what impact that can have. So far, it's been nice, the kind of different things that happen out of those decisions.
Yeah.
But I think I can almost see exactly,
I bet you can,
what you mean.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I saw one ending, right, based on what I did, and I can kind of expect what could happen based on what you're saying. That you could just, all of your decisions
are just destroyed in an
up
instant.
To that point, kind of get, turned upside down.
And because it's on a timer, and because the choice isn't yours, it's a situation that happens to you right away. You're basically double caveated to like, and because of the situation that occurs, I'm going to say, I think when you look at it, there's absolutely 100% for sure a leaning that they want you to do. And it feels very forced. It feels like very like, oh man, it's just like, boom, this is a thing. Like we can see this sort of happening. I luckily missed it that first playthrough. And I feel really happy that I did, because I wouldn't have like rated the game not worth getting or anything, after this. I would have been like,
but it's a different experience.
It's a very different experience to have somebody just be like, oh, that stuff you did, nobody gives a fuck. Like you're just going to lose this if this thing happens. And
especially because they keep saying they will remember, but then when it comes down to it,
who will remember
this other smaller thing had a bigger impact than all of the others, the summation of events that they were going to remember.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, man. I don't know.
It'll be interesting. It's always interesting to see, because these games, the more you play them, sometimes they come apart at the seams, because you can see the underpinnings, of
that's
like
why you
how
take
they're
your
made.
First choice as like the, it's like, this is my
I think
life experience, and that's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
we always talk about having one good go at a game and maybe not playing it a second time, like
Yep.
Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. Because to me personally, that's how I enjoy the most. And the second time, I just start to see a little bit how the burger is made.
Yeah.
And just doesn't seem, like the same thing.
Yeah.
This one making an exception. I'm enjoying it for now, but I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, and I still like it a lot. I just was really disappointed in that, but I definitely like it a lot.
I did feel like the timing of, like, sometimes they put you on the spot to make a decision, and the timing is kind of quick on it, where you don't even realize that you're making a consequential decision. Does that make sense?
A little bit. I don't think that's really even. That's almost like their graphical interface isn't the greatest. They got that slow sliding bar, but like it starts way out here, and if you're like, I could see some people, like, unless they're gecko-eyed.
Yeah, but by the time you realize, that's a big decision. Like, oh shit, it's already.
I think a countdown would have probably been better. Been like 10, 9. Yeah. A little bit more in your face. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I feel like you see this confusion that sort of pops up. But for me, the timing wasn't really an issue. It was just that because I make my choices pretty quick on the narrative, so like I wasn't too bothered by it. What I was bothered was when the timing is in addition to the other changes, where you see the weight of the choice and you see that somebody else has made that choice, or somebody else has put you in this position, and it hinges back towards like 6 episodes of what you've been doing, and you're like, I don't quite know what I'm supposed to do, and it almost becomes a reaction game at that point versus a story game. You're like, oh shit, I guess I just do this. I can't even take the time to look at the screen and figure out like what the nuances of this situation may be or what the results may be. That's sort of the way it goes. Again, great game. Glad they did it. I don't think we'll be seeing a number 2 in a while. They did the typical thing where they're like, we see this all the time. We never really thought about blah, blah, blah. But now that people have talked to, yes, we get it. It's very, very typical humble, not humble humbleness that goes on. But it's just like, they're busy. They're doing other stuff. They're going to keep you on the line. They'll be like, oh yeah, we're thinking about it. But while we're thinking about that, check out our new game, which is what they're doing, is another game. And I'm fine with that. That's sort of advertising these days. I liked what I saw. I liked that. I'll definitely check out whatever they make, whatever their next one is.
There was definitely some, despite some of these issues we're picking on here, it's like it had some magic sauce to it. The whole combination of art, music, voice, characters, writing coming together was great. Yeah,
for sure. Mavericks says, have you guys checked out Black Ops 6 co-op campaign yet? And would it have served them better not calling a campaign? I've played it. I don't know what you mean by not calling it a campaign, though. I mean, it's Black Ops. It's Black Mirror. It's like weird, disjointed shit, sort of their thing. Whether it's good or not is different, but no, I don't mind them calling it a campaign. They have to pay the piper for what they call it. But yeah.
We should talk about that, too, because, the reception has been pretty poor overall. I was just curious to see what your take is based on what you've played and stuff.
I mean, it's like it's impossible now to talk about the reception because of Game Pass. So we're stuck with nothing. It's become very frustrating because you see something on Steam and you're like, oh, low concurrent must mean this. And then you have the company come out and finally release numbers and they're insanely good. You have the thing that happened with Ubisoft recently where everybody was like, oh my God, Ubisoft delayed their financials. They must be in deep shit. And then they end up announcing their financials and it did just fine. They were delaying the financials because an auditor came in that they were requested to do and found an issue and wanted them to repeat some stuff. So it's just like without numbers, it's so difficult to know like what anything is anymore. I mean, and I don't even want the numbers. I think the numbers are starting to like sort of fuck up all the discussion now because you have concurrent. You have like, what do we got? Total sales, concurrent, platform sales, fucking by nation sales. Then if the nation is China, everybody's going to pretend it doesn't matter. Sure. And then if it is mostly China, people will be like, it's only China. It's like you can't win, man. It's just, I don't know. It's sort of lost. They released a game that a lot of people seem to really be liking and a lot of people seem to really be hating. But I haven't had any issues joining the multiplayer lobby. So there's that. That's the other
There's
thing. That's the other thing. You have people be like,
Open Critic.
Well, right.
I was just going to say
Open
Critic
cares about the scores,
wasn't doing that well.
Yeah. I mean, multiple ones haven't. Like, that's the thing about Call of Duty. I don't even know why we talk about it anymore, because they keep making them. They keep spending $300 million a year on them.
And they sell, right?
And they sell. So it's like, yeah, I have no clue. I mean, I wouldn't rate it that high personally, but what I was going to say was you have concurrent rating, and then we now have the discussion of like, oh, are you going to want to jump into it if a bunch of people aren't playing? And I've always been of the impression, if enough people are playing that you can get into games, do you care if there's a cap on players? Do you care if there's like 10,000 more players than the 5,000 you need? Like, that's the other thing. I don't know about you. I haven't had an issue getting into a multiplayer co-op match or like a group match in any game I've played in probably the last 15 years. Meaning if I've hit play, the game has worked and there's been a multiplayer group available. Do you remember the last time you hit like play on a multiplayer game and you couldn't get in? Because there wasn't like enough
considering
people?
Queues or maybe like couldn't log in and issues
people,
like that?
Less people than you needed. Not more. Sorry. Yeah, you're Final Fantasy, which would be more.
Okay, you're right. No, the problem has been like too many people.
Right.
Maybe. Or like, those types of problems. No, you're right. Yeah.
Isn't that weird? But we will get to, I don't want to digress into Call of Duty because we'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
Spetsu says it came down to Halo 3, $11.99 PLN. Games. Yeah, games we can play.
That was for, beginner games.
Halo 3? Anyway.
Someone said Halo 3 in the Discord as a recommendation.
But why Halo 3?
Or you did on easy mode?
No.
I think someone said Halo 3 on easy mode.
I said all the Halos. Like, I would never say, why jump into 3 when you have one?
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's so weird.
I mean, that was the one I played. So,
is it?
I would approve.
That's the first one you played? Well, you did play a good one, man. It's good you jumped into that one versus like 2 and the ending pops up and you're like, wait, what? Where's the rest of my game? Jeremy, where's the rest? Jeremy, where's the rest of my game? Like it's a pretty easy one. We can jump into that now. Yeah, what's an easy let's go down the list. We'll start with first person shooters. A low level 9 to 15-year-old like good, they haven't played first person before. Let's say they're getting into it. Maybe they played some mobile. What's a good first person game that you think is like a good primer for a new person coming in?
I think Call of Duty are pretty friendly, usually.
Damn, that's actually, I never thought of Call of Duty, but if you ignore the politicizing, because they're very heavily political, like, like that that wartime stuff.
I think you could parse that.
Just shoot.
Quite easy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's true. That is true, man. I had not thought about Call of Duty, but maybe that's why it does well. Like, it is everybody's, I mean, we've joked about it being baby's first shooter. Because
I thought about a stealth game, since the action is a bit less intense, but there are a lot of elements that you would assume knowledge. Like, for example, the cone of vision system that we kind of imply.
Right.
We assume that enemies have this sort of like cone of vision that we remember from Metal Gear, where you actually saw the cone. And we kind of operate around that. But I think a new person right now jumping into it, they just think people have peripheral vision. Like maybe AC Shadows, they had some good peripheral.
Yeah.
But a lot of games don't. And then the thought occurred to me that a lot of these gamified things that people wouldn't even know because they've now been hidden away, but they might still operate the underpinnings of the game.
Yeah, in the side podcast, I brought that up, that people it's pretty easy to forget that, like, even for whether it be the developer or the player, there's 15 years of vested data.
Yeah.
And our brains work on that. So a newcomer comes in. I saw Doom. I saw Far Cry. I think Far Cry is probably one of the best examples of a game that would be easy to get into, but so is Call of Duty. I mean, they are point and shoot, with Far Cry having open world, so there's a little bit more exploration for a young person to play and jump around. Those are good examples. What about a platformer? Like, let's say somebody hasn't played games before, And they're like, hey, I want to play a platformer. I hear they're good. I do Wordle on mobile. That's what I do. I do Wordle on mobile, and now I'm ready to play a platformer.
You're a Candy Crush enjoyer.
Maybe. Candy Crush seems a little high level. Wordle, though, that's my jam. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, they played those, and they jumped to consoles/PC. What's a platformer?
I think I got the perfect one. Ori and the Blind Forest.
Okay, I can't tell if he's teasing. Ori and the Blind Forest is considered one of the most difficult, generic Ori and the Blind Ori and the Blind Forest has the sand level at the end, or the tree level growing up. It's got it's got like tools. Your discussions or your suggestions are amazing. Sorry.
So here's my thinking,
that is
right?
Amazing. Yeah, go ahead. I love it.
I suck at platformers,
but did well.
I'm really bad at them, but I did pretty well at. I felt like everything was almost,
That's fair.
Either first try or second try. So I thought that was on the easier side.
So
I know the second one stepped it up
more like.
Oh yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like Astro.
Okay. Okay. Fair. That's a big difference.
Shaving today. Yeah, dude. Okay. I love it. I love your idea because it's so funny, Johnny. Because less than a week ago in the voice chat, people were laughing about Ori being deceptively hard at times, and you're like,
okay,
Ori.
Okay. Now the contrast with Astrobot, I see the big difference there.
Yeah, in difficulty.
No, you're spot on that. It's a different level. Yeah. No, you're right, because you would die a lot in Ori. You would get inputs wrong and die a ton.
A lot of tool use.
No, I got that.
A lot of on top of, and then holding a button to aim the compass.
And like getting an angle correctly on. Okay, you're right. There's a bunch of stuff. What am I thinking?
Hey, I don't know, but it's amazing because once again you said it, and I'm like, I'm not seeing any sarcasm.
That's actually the proof of. People like us sometimes assuming, like just accumulated
data,
gameplay,
knowledge, game,
right? Because it just seemed simple. You've played these games, but for someone new coming in,
and maybe it's that back in the day when, maybe even before you started playing, but there was a time when hardcore looked hardcore and easy looked easy, and then there was this crunchability that sort of started where. Easy was turned difficult on purpose, and that was the cool feel. Was like, oh, easy is now
almost
hard.
the Dark Souls moment where.
Well, it was more. I mean, it was almost like it was just surreal getting into games. They were surreal. They started to be surreal. It was like, oh, look, this is going to be easy. No, it's not. It's going to be hard. Look at this hard-looking crime game is going to have a bunch of joking and be super over the top and have a lot of sarcasm. Because once games get good enough to be frivolous with their creation, you start getting offshoots. Like that's sort of what happened. Is it feels like that once frivolousness came into it, and it was like we can be a little bit more loose with our game creation. It doesn't have to be Pitfall leaping over alligators' heads and you fall in the mouth and die. What if you fall in the mouth and then your level is inside the alligator? You know what I mean? Because like our technology got better and we got more frivolous with our making. We got more, more eclectic with what we could do and create. Astrobot is fantastic looking and easy though, so that's a good. I think that's
or something like SpongeBob, that one you reviewed SpongeBob. Where was a platformer. But
did you see that a new one came out?
Yeah,
missed it. I wanted to review that so bad, and I guess I forgot to ask. I really have enjoyed. I don't even like SpongeBob SquarePants much, but I like the games because they're just like. Do or don't. I don't know how to describe it. They are simple. They're like do something and then something cool happens and then later somebody adds a cool thing to this stuff and then you do other stuff, and that's my review. That's my review right there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm glad to see it come out. I think it scored well too. Scored well. So there's always that. I'll probably go back to it. We'll have to see. What about nah, let's not do racing. Racing that gets into like. Once you're racing, like once you do Mario Kart, you can attempt to do Forza. Now, I'm not saying they're identical, but I'm saying there's something there that's like definitely closer than the FPS or platforming genre, where it's like onomatopoeia, it is what it is and what it sounds like. What about like
third-person action adventure games? Talking like Uncharted, Horizon.
Tangentially to that, I would say you do have your like Skylanders Gauntlet third-person action games. So if they go more towards action, you have all those kind of games that are fairly easy.
Yeah.
Then yeah, Ratchet and Clank is sort of got complexity of the time of the jump gates right now.
That's a good one.
And then you have the the fucking Gardens, Plants vs Zombies third-person ones that came out like last gen. Those things, some of those
that
were
was
fun.
actually quite good.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Like,
yeah, I'm sure everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe he likes that morally bankrupt. You're right, I am. But regardless of that, I also like the game.
Yeah.
What other ones, man? What have we played that's like, shoot, there's one that was a third person that I remember we were actually joking because it was a little too easy to keep our attention. Well, Splatoon, yeah. Rogerio mentioned Splatoon. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So Crash Bandicoot would be on the middle to hard, depending on which Crash Bandicoot, because some of them have been skewed hard, and then you have skewed hard. You know what I mean? And some are 2D, and then some are 3D pseudo. Let's see, what are the platformers though? SpongeBob's a good example, actually. I'm trying to think if there's even a game that's like Uncharted where you're climbing a lot and it's super easy. Because they're all not too difficult anyway. It's that they add the bullets and the quick time to be difficult.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of those are intricate enough that they have a lot of
systems and systems, maybe,
like we were talking. Systems that people might be a bit confused by.
Dude, have you ever gone back and looked at an old Tomb Raider and looked at the new ones? The old ones have all kinds of crunchiness and all kinds of like just, they're jank a little bit. And then the new ones have exchanged that where it's a ton of different systems. It's like gyro to balance. Do this puzzle that's 75 different icicles and stalactites that you have to figure out their chimes if you touch them and what sound they make. You know, whatever. It's not that in depth, but there's a lot of like systems in the new ones, even when they don't appear to be. And then, you know, pseudo open world or an open town in some of these games. Like, which one of the Tomb Raiders has you play about a quarter of the game and then you go to a small village and you're walking around. Now, admittedly, not a lot of shit goes on in the village. I think it is Shadows. I think you're absolutely right. That's the one that reminds me of. And you go in there and it's just like, you know, you have all this shit. So,
yeah, those are great. Yeah, no, the old ones just had the raw mechanics. You know, like, can I get my slingshot or whatever?
Help me not die. And that's it. And it's jumping and swinging and swimming until the end of the game. That is all.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, isn't it so? It's so crazy when you think back how like that used to be it. Maybe they weren't super long games either, but it was like that's all it was like twist this statue, go swimming, stare at her breasts, leap up, climb something, stare at her breast, stare at her butt, move over, stare at her butt, stare at her breast, look at her breast, stare at her butt, move over, swim, stare at her ass, and then at some point, water made clothes wet, and it was a wet t-shirt contest. I'm just joking. I don't think any of the Tomb Raiders have shown water on her shirt, have they? Because I feel like if they have, a lot of people probably just sat there and stared at her boobs.
I'm sure there's been some water on shirts.
Because you know how in Uncharted, it dries his pants? His pants get wet, and then they dry? Like, I just have a feeling if Tomb Raiders do that, and I can't remember if Shadows did it, that, you know, somebody's pausing.
I mean, it wasn't like the movies, because let's be honest, the movies went pretty wild on the...
That's a sausage wrap. And not sausage as people think, but like her, wrapped up in there. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Rock version of a shirt, you know, where it's like she shopped at Barbie's, Oshkosh Bagosh for fucking 7-year-olds. Yeah. And threw the shirt on. Have you ever... Dude, the most in shape I've ever been, where like I could walk around without a shirt on, not feel bad at a gym, whatever. Never in a million years have I thought to myself, you know what I really want? I want a shirt that is so tight that like you can see the atoms separating. Like, it's such an odd, man.
You have like 80% of your upper torso exposed by that sucker.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Danny Passion says, $2 super chat. Finally did a BF6 best-selling game of 2025. 2025 is not over yet. What? What's happening? Oh my God, we're starting the Game Awards. We're starting too soon. It'll be like it's
Game
over.
awarding.
Though, do I think anything will beat it? It's funny too because Battlefield 6 isn't even that great. It's a good shooter, but it shows how shit they've been for so many years. I mean, Battlefield really, when you look at Battlefield, it's been they've done really well at failing, and they've been shit for so long that you make a somewhat good one, and it shows how much people want competition. They want competition. Like they want, whether you be a Call of Duty fan, Black Ops fan, any of the other shooter fans. Same thing with Arc Raiders. Sorry, but Arc Raiders isn't like the greatest game ever made. It's a very good game that's enjoyable, but it shows how thirsty the fans in that genre are, because all they've been playing and all they've got to play is, Tarkov and a couple others that they don't add a lot of stuff. Arc Raiders has a good amount of content. It does well. Like those. Yeah, we're going to talk about the awards for Arc Raiders too. That was weird.
Ooh.
The
Okay.
award nominees.
Yep.
We should talk about that. But yeah, so not that best selling matters, but there you go. Best selling. ACG beard tips. Beard tips. I need to sell ACG beard tips, which are just like dark, like my beard, and you put them on your blonde beard, like Eminem's hair tips. Do I have beard tips? Fuck, I don't know, man.
A lot of it is genetic, right? Because I'm pretty sure you were born with a full beard.
Yeah, I was born on a computer, man. I was already programming assembly language when I came out.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would say. Probably find your face structure and then go with it. You've seen some of those guys with like a beard that doesn't fit their face structure. Mine sometimes doesn't, because I don't really worry about its shape sometimes. It'll look goofy. I guess that'd be probably the one thing. But no, I don't really have any beard tips, man. Don't stress it if you can't grow one. Johnny didn't think he could grow one when he first started. I still remember, this is years ago, but I remember one time you were on here, and I think I saw this recently when I was looking over, because I saved the podcasts on a hard drive.
Oh, yeah.
I have them. And I'm pretty sure you are clean shaven and state you can't grow a beard, and you've got a beard. Like,
it was
while.
I could, but it was wispy.
Yeah.
Like that thing.
Well, I mean,
it's not
you
even.
weren't saying that. You weren't saying I could. You literally were like, I can't grow a beard. Whether you meant it's wispy or what. This was a long time ago, by the way. Like your first couple visits to the podcast. But
yeah.
And
I would say if it takes time. That I would agree. Even like throughout my 20s, I couldn't really grow a beard.
And then
beyond like the just gruff stage.
Patchwork night of puberty level,
and then
hair growth.
Over time you just kind of cultivate it, and then it and just I have one recommendation. I wonder if you do this too. If you trim it with the buzzer, trim it downward, not upward, because that allows you to accumulate more overall like mass. So you're trimming off the top, but you're not like pulling hairs up and removing
undergrowth
too much. So it kind of allows you to bulk up a little bit. Try that. That worked for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to do it. Probably, I would say most, because you are also told not to shave up anyway. Generally, shave up anyway. Yeah, because it's really abrasive. So I think a lot of people take their electric razor and they take their tips from a razor and they just continue to do it. And that sort of works for them.
Right.
You can shave up. It's just when you're a kid, especially, they're like, watch out. And that because shaving up can also cause ingrown hairs and stuff like that. So like, especially when you're learning how to shave, you got to be very careful. But yeah, shaving's a weird one too, because like you let your you let your mustache go crazy. You look like an Outer Worlds character, right? Like you start looking all fucked up. So you gotta like be on top of shit. Otherwise stuff starts to look really weird. You guys got to talk about the Xbox partner preview that happened recently. Oh yeah, there was an event yesterday. I forgot.
Really?
Yeah, there was an Xbox partner event. They actually showed some cool games. Nothing like world shattering or anything, but they showed the sequel to the animal is the main character, Fists of something. I wrote it up in our Discord. Let me see. Fists of. Fists of something. 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 Fi This was a
Okay.
sequel to. Oh, that hair on my nose is killing me. I can't find it. Sequel to. Let's see here. Jeez. Okay, that happened a lot. There we go. Fist Forged in Shadow. They showed a sequel to that looked really good. What else did they show during that event?
I got some here if you want. I can mention a few.
Arrakis or Aratakis or some weird
Armatus. Yeah.
Armatus.
An action adventure. Apparently it's like a follow-up.
Go ahead and read the next.
Yeah.
Go ahead and read
We
the
got
next one.
Erosion, an isometric action game in a stylized, like, voxel world
Sweet.
kind of deal.
Sweet.
Vampire Crawlers. This was a new game from Ponkel.
That's
Vampire
a card
Survivors
one, right? It's
people.
got like vampires, but with cards, I think. Somebody said it had a card deck system.
It says it's built around a horde survival DNA.
Okay.
It's going to be a day one Game Pass.
Sweet.
Then we got Echo Generation 2. A follow-up to the turn-based 90s Kids on Bikes RPG is what I'm reading here. I don't remember that one.
Okay. Cool,
and then finally I'm seeing Raji Kaliyuga.
Yeah, that one was middle. I called it, it looked like an Indian-styled Plague Tale for a second because it's got the, it looks like a woman and a son or sister, brother, or maybe just a young guy and an older lady. I can't tell, but it looked interesting.
Yep.
And it's on Game Pass right away, I think. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else we missed?
No. I saw a couple, but none of them really grabbed me just because those events are. There was a couple that were available day one, like yesterday when the event went off, which I think is awesome. They were like, I think 3. Yeah. They were like, okay, boom, these 3, they're there. They announced some release dates for stuff. Reanimal, they announced a release date. I think I just saw somebody else mention that. Yep, Reanimal got its release date, which is great. But these events normally pretend they're from the console, and they're not, which is what this one did, where it's like, oh, hey, it's an Xbox Direct, it's a PlayStation Direct, it's a Nintendo Direct, whatever. And then they just announce a bunch of multiplayer shit or multi-platform shit, which is sort of what this did. But the positive of this one was it had 3 games right away on, they were playable right away, which is always a big positive, being able to jump in there and get a surprise or two.
They talked a bit about
says, my most anticipated game of next year is 007. Interesting. What were we going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to say it's funny that GTA is not the most anticipated.
That's
for
true.
Them.
That is true.
Because it's what we keep hearing the whole time.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's fair. That's fair. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah. Yeah, it's like, hey, dude, maybe it's because they don't believe GTA is coming out ever. I don't know. Right? Like, who knows?
Yeah, we're almost there.
Tides
I was just going to say they mentioned...
Good. Yeah. Go ahead.
They mentioned some stuff about the ecosystem and like the hardware that's still a big part of their vision. And they were also kind of saying that they don't expect people to be exclusive like console gamer or PC gamer anymore, that they expect people to be more spread out and all over the place with these things. And I was wondering, from your perspective, what do you think that means? If they say they are still really invested in the hardware thing, but on the same token, people are going to be playing from all these devices, does that mean they just want to be one of these devices that people play from, like being Xbox? Or that, like, what should we take from that, do you think?
I mean, Sony just posted $1 billion in non-PlayStation game sales. PC. I think, in all honesty, the sad fact for a lot of people is that exclusivity not only has gone out the window, it's a absolute dead end in a discussion about the economy currently and people's issues currently. It's very weird for somebody to say, hey, I care about you, bro. I care about the cost of games, bro, but I need exclusives on this one device. And if you want to play, you got to play in 2 or 3 different places. So if you remove yourself completely from any political team building, it is what it is. You're going to see Sony do as close to day and date as possible on some big titles that they need to. You're going to see Nintendo look at it. They got to at some point, right? At some point. Even if the delta in their handheld gets too high because of the hardware parts, where they got to look and go, you know, what partnerships do we do? Do we do more that are just like, maybe their partnerships are safe ones, like Raving Rabbids, where Ubisoft took on the development, you know, where they're like, hey, you can use our IP. Who knows what's going to happen there? But I will tell you this. No developer I've talked to likes exclusives anymore. It's gone. I mean, there's not even a, that's the reason why there's no more discussion is there is no more discussion. They do not like it. They don't want it to be a part of anything that goes forward because of the amount of money and the fans that they can get. True positivity, remove the money for a second, just the idea that a person gets their stuff. It's like a guy who prints a book in English, and they're like, I'm going to print a book in Chinese, and somebody says, nope, you're not able to use Chinese in your book. You'd be like, what? There's a bunch of fans. I want to talk to those fans. So you try to do more and more. We are at the era now where consoles, many people are GeForce Now, where they stream and they're using PCs, and you have the Steam machine coming out. You have all these Windows handheld devices. It's time to embrace, whether people like it or not. It's been time for years. It was time the moment all these consoles went to the same type of processor, you lost. The moment they went to that kind of processor, you lost. And fans ultimately pretty much win. Because
now, that is true.
When I say fans, I don't mean you as a fan or me as a fan. I mean as a conglomerate as a whole. Because if I say fans, there's some fan who really likes the feeling of fighting for their team. They're the person who says, we, the Pittsburgh Steelers, won this match, even though they had nothing to do with it. That's the type of person who they succeed in these kind of situations. But a fan, they get the game on everything. That's great. Xbox is way early. And many times Xbox will be early and they'll get chastised for it. And then other companies will come along later and they'll do the same thing. And by that point, we're accustomed to it. So we sort of are like, okay, whatever. And then we buy into it. We buy into online checks on single player games and stuff like that. You know, the way family groups are handled on the Xbox, or were at one time. There were all these things where people are like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then you saw other companies actually be the first to do it when they back down. So you just have this odd system, man. We're in the midst of change and nobody likes it. Nobody likes change. I mean, I don't love it, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's bad that my friend can play on a PlayStation and play against me on the Xbox. Sorry, never going to. I could lie to you, but I don't feel like lying, and I don't give a fuck enough to like hold somebody against my breast because of a lie. It's like, if you want to go, that's fine. I think it's really cool that Helldivers is on both. I think Helldivers on Nintendo Switch would be one of the coolest goddamn things that would ever happen. Just Nintendo Switch is selling like hotcakes. It's defeating everything already. It's annihilating the fuck out of everything. If you get Helldivers on the Nintendo Switch too, dude, that's awesome.
Or you also multiply the number of players in your in your game.
Yep. Isn't that what many gamers have been shouting for years, that they were angry that something was exclusive? You say gamers. Yes. Many gamers also love exclusives. Love them. And they like the idea of it.
They still hold on to that.
Absolutely. Yep. I think we've lost that sort of match, like when you look at it. And Nintendo will have the exact same problem at some point in the future, whether it be hardware costs going up, which they can't control, whether it be they sell to a demographic that already has competition in it. There'll be some point where all the companies will have to look at it and sort of go like, and remember, Nintendo has tried slightly in the past with a mobile game here or there to just test the waters. Right now, they don't care about money. They're making money. They're doing a really good job at offering to their segment, and they're doing a great job at that. And you can still play it docked. So they have the positives there. I mean, to give you an example of how good, this always pisses people off because especially for some reason, you get a lot of like back and forth about this. In the entire history of the Steam Deck, it sold less than the Switch was selling every 6 months.
Whoa.
I mean, the Switch was selling insane numbers. Like it was beyond belief. And it shows that the competition in that area, despite people trying to tell you it's huge, it's really just one company right now. And
True.
then you have everybody else that's sort of the Windows. At some point, maybe the Switch, maybe one of the reasons why the Switch 2 isn't super powerful is because they always hope to get you with a 2.0 and keep you in that ecosystem. I don't know. Businesses run themselves weirdly, but it feels to me like money is to be made with a device, every device having the game.
Yep.
I mean, multiple different cars, but they all drive on the same road, Like
I think more and more, it doesn't matter which box you're playing a game on. At the end of the day, I think it will now be more about the games themselves. People will pick other stuff to be tribal around. I have no delusions, that's going away, but I think that part of it is kind of, it's got the days counted.
Do you, if something's exclusive, you play mainly PC, right? Mainly PC.
Yeah.
Okay. So if something's exclusive for PC and it's a game that is more console demographic normally, like maybe not a platformer, old days you might have said that, but let's say it's something that just feels PC, feels console first for whatever reason. Do you ever catch yourself, or in discussions with friends, we'll say that, do you ever catch yourself wishing something was console and PC? Like, do you ever find yourself going, oh man, it's exclusive for PC, that sort of sucks because blank wants to play it, or something to that effect? Because that's what I'm running into almost all the time, is that if I'm playing a PC game and I say, let's play this, I either hear it's not cross-platform or I hear it's not even on this. And so I guess I'm hearing the consistent inability for people to experience the same thing at the same time. And then that carries over to like Ubisoft with different platforms all still having different saves for a lot of their games. So you get this combination of I can't. And I hit that a lot. I don't know. But it sounds like maybe
it's true. We do.
Oh, you do?
No, in our Discord, we do hit it, whether it's cross-platform, lack of cross-platform, or even within the same platform, like you were saying, Xbox games, it works differently than Steam, and at times they don't work together for some reason, which is odd. And then you have the issue, like you said, with the saves too, where you could play the game on one, and then maybe you get it in the other, but you can't have your save.
Yeah.
And the way Xbox Store does the files for the games is like inscrutable, so you can't get in there and get your save file easily.
Yeah,
it's complicated. It is. But I think more and more we're seeing the crossplay. We saw with Arc Raiders, Helldivers is going that way. A lot of these big titles. I don't know about Winds Meat. Is that one PC only, or did they do consoles?
PC's on consoles as well. I don't have it.
And that was like crossplay for.
I don't know.
Okay.
Because it's where Winds Meet we can talk about in a bit. It is a weird game when it comes to multiplayer. It's not crossplay required, really. It's hard to describe. You can still do groups and multiplayer, but you can do a bunch of shit. It's so big single player wise that a good number of people may never turn the multiplayer on, other than the times it tells you to check off a checklist. It's so big in that way that it's sort of funny, because a lot of people I talk to don't even really, they know it's got multiplayer, but they think it might just be a chat room because they've been playing the single player for like 200 hours already.
Sure.
And they've never gone to the multiplayer yet.
Well, I find it ironic that a lot of these massively online multiplayer games are actually very single player focused for a lot of people. Example, Final Fantasy 14, pretty much purely a single player experience for me. I did some dungeons with friends, but it was like 90% just going through the story by myself.
And playing single player on your own. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I would go to town, sure, you see other people doing like striptease or whatever they do in Final Fantasy 14. Yes, there's some weird stuff going on. But I got the same vibe with Wind's Meat, which is you're doing your own thing, and then sometimes it pops up that, oh, other players, like there's some interaction, but for the most part, it's still mostly a single player experience.
I have a feeling a lot of people are going to play mostly multiplayer. I don't know if I'd say it's mostly a single player experience. I'll just say it's huge single player. It's just huge.
So you could technically, it depends how you play it.
It depends on how you play. Yeah. Chris, $5 super chat. I think the biggest example of this is GTA 6 not being on PC at launch. However, Rockstar knows what it's doing. Yeah, I mean, the number of PC specific games is Gaussian. Like, it's billions, it feels like. The number of times I get a game on PC that's also on the console is about 0.01%. The PC has so many titles that, like, the chances just by sheer number, it feels like there's millions of games that come out on PC and every single one of them is not on the console. Like, whatever it may be, there's like, or they're first on the PC by a year. There's just so many games. Steam's releasing 5,000 games a month. So you're just,
yeah, a lot of Steam is only
a lot of
PC.
Steam is just PC. Yeah. So I mean, it's just, that's the way it is. But I do like the idea of these guys making consoles. They're exclusive, but they also, not exclusive, but they also do take into exclusivity parts of the console into their version of the game. If you want your touchpad on the PlayStation, it's on the PlayStation. They should take advantage of it. They need to figure it out. They can't just be like, we aren't using it. I know I don't like it. I'm not talking about me right now. I'm saying as a company, it's their due diligence. It's their job to deliver to you everything that you have purchased. It uses it. So if it has the adaptive controllers, that game needs to use it. If you have a controller with the touchpad, it needs to use it. And then the Xbox does other stuff, whatever that may be. And Nintendo Switch, whatever that may be, whether it be handles things differently docked or gyroscope on the Switch, holding the Switch. That's what they need to do. And they need to deliver that as well and really nail it and be like, this is the way it is. This is the way we're moving forward, is to make sure that
tricky,
what
right?
you get. It is tricky, but I don't care. I'm past caring.
That's fair.
I'm past caring about I don't even care about other fans. If their stuff is stupid, I'm like, I don't care. You can't care about everybody, right? We care about the people closest to us, and you try to take into account. But if a company says it's difficult, I'm releasing 3 games on 3 different systems. It's really hard for us. Boo fucking who? Boo hoo. You're trying to get 3 games worth of income, deliver 3 platforms worth of content into your game. You need to make sure that if there's an exclusivity part of whatever platform you're using that's special, like the touchpad. Again, you're talking to somebody who doesn't like the touchpad, and I'm fighting for it. Like, I don't have any issue fighting for something I don't like, if it makes sense. Somebody paid an exorbitant amount of money for a shit controller in the PS5. That's a terrible controller. Its battery's fucking dog shit. But you have this touchpad on there that people like, and people really like the adaptive controller things. I fucking hate them. But here's the thing. I don't care if I hate them. The majority like them. So that company's job, its core job, is to deliver unto you the stuff that that controller does and that system can do. That means if you have a graphics capability in there that's above others, deliver it. Don't do the shit where you meander around and you're like, well, the Switch is only getting 30, so we're going to hit 30. It's like, if your system does this particular thing, you need to deliver it. You ask them to pay money, right? A ton of money, in fact, for these systems. You need to deliver it, whether it be your video card, your PC, Switch, to what have you. I think that's only fair, right? I think it's fair.
I think it is. But so far, the reality has been that devs need to implement whatever, touchpad or adaptive bumpers, buttons. Like, I think it's the devs that need to do all that. I don't see Sony creating any kind of libraries or like reusable things that people can just plug into to get it for free.
No, they do have libraries for their devs, though. When you buy an SDK, when you buy a system actual test, they do ship you a library that has the adaptive triggers, the ability, all.
So
of
they
this
still need to
programmed.
like engage with that in their development, but it's kind of like meeting them halfway at least.
Yeah. I mean, and it'd be like if you went and took a class, let's say, now you buy the textbooks and you buy all this, and it's really on you. You're paying, and you have to buy everything, and you have to be on time, and sometimes the professor doesn't even have to be there. Luckily, on the console side, currently, they offer a great deal of documentation. In fact, Microsoft last week just opened up their documentation to everybody. They removed the developer part, so a normal person can just go and grab it and see all the behind-the-scenes stuff for the Xbox ecosystem, which I think is great. More people, the merrier, as long as you have some control on quality. But they do still reach out. Sony, on the last device, I don't know if they did on this one, but on the last device used to have basically a console testing like software suite. That they do have it on this one. I just don't know if this is advanced, but where you could test to see where your console's performance was in your game. Be like, okay, I'm missing out. I'm not using the GPU. That's sort of some basic stuff that they do. And then adaptive trigger, understanding it, programming elements, examples. And in the past, there were times, Johnny, it's funny you mention that, because in the past, there were horror stories about Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft delivering SDKs with what was called incomplete documentation. So what you would do is you would be like, you can make a game for your, I'm going to throw out a title or console, Dreamcast. You'd get the Dreamcast testing unit, programming stuff or whatever it may be, the PC that's mimicking that. And the documentation was quite literally not done. It just wasn't there. And guess who got it? Their first party companies. So the first party companies would get to shit first. By the way, hence exclusives making a little bit of sense, because you would be able to take advantage of special stuff that was going on in the console, all this kind of stuff. And then after a while, especially with documentation and especially switching over to the PC style parts we have now. But
I like this idea you painted, which is almost like consoles or systems bifurcating or like diverging in some way, where there are some identifiable distinctions that would push you to one or another. Like maybe someone is a fan of the adaptive, or someone is a fan of something Xbox is doing, and that kind of informs their decision to buy that system more than the games on them, which I think is the right direction. You could just say, they're similar enough, but I like the physical format of the Xbox, or I like the controller, or you could say, I like the PS5 OS, whatever it is. I like that. I think that's the direction we should go, that they are distinct and they kind of offer slightly different experiences, on the practical level.
It's funny, dude, too, because look at micro PCs, mini PCs. I've had people buy a mini PC solely for a slight change in its form factor compared to others. Like more of a square box versus a rectangle flattened box. Sure. And you're like, damn, people are making a decision. By the way, same price as a console right now, or legitimately a lot of them are. They were making the price on that alone. Color, and there's some really interesting stuff for who's making these choices too. We can talk about in a bit, but it's gonna be fun to see. I'm hoping all the games get on most everything they can, and then we sort it out. Get free market sorts it out. If you want a powerful console that maybe delivers something at a higher level, you get the PlayStation version right now, and then in the future, who knows what you get? You get whatever your PC. It also allows for people to maybe dive into console if PC continues to be so expensive. Consoles aren't cheap either, but there's and then we can move from there. Rockstar knows what it's doing. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, I would say Rockstar is probably one of the only companies that, even if they didn't know what they were doing, it would appear so because of their economic success. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like right now, I feel like Rockstar could say and do a lot of stuff, and people would be like, well, they know what they're doing, because you look back at the trail of Alibaba money, it's crazy. It's just like, damn, there's so much money there that it feels like it makes sense,
Yeah, it's funny because harking back to that interview we talked about with the guy from Rockstar.
Mhm.
I forgot his name now. But he was great.
Yeah.
He shared a lot about his process, and you could say it's very imperfect. Like his process was not this pristine, perfect. He was like he was late at times, like he didn't think they were gonna make it. They were
Right.
having a crack, and it turned out they had great success. So when you look in hindsight, you might say, well, they knew what they were doing. Yes, it turned out really well, but in a different world, maybe they never made it past GTA 2. They were late, they didn't deliver, something went wrong in the wrong place, and yeah, just could have gone a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, and the hot coffee thing, it was so interesting to hear him say how nervous they were even that many years ago, that like the public perception and what had occurred behind the scenes was such a big deal to them, or at least to him. They were a smaller company then too, so you never quite know. Let's see. Speaking of touchpads, Valve showing Sony how to do touchpads on a controller. Have they? Are they going over that? Like, are they going and showing them? What do you mean? I don't think anybody's had any hands-on with the people I talked to.
No,
there was a small amount of people
they are
on
talking
this event,
about. I'm sure they're talking about what we've seen on Steam Deck and the prior controller.
Were they better the trackpads? Yeah, they were better, right?
Yeah, they are significantly better.
They were better.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah. Never use them. But the accuracy is quite decent, and the feel is good. Because I think that's one thing lacking as well on the PS5.
The glossy feel versus the tactile rubberized.
Yeah, and there's no feedback, obviously, right? So that also doesn't help you notice where you are in that. So yeah, every time you use that thing, you don't know where you are on the touchpad. You don't know. That's why it's so inaccurate too when you try to use it.
Yeah. Let's see. People are talking about AI not being a big deal. Okay. We'll move on from there. Whoosh. Here we go. Let's see. Johnny used bifurcate in a sentence. Are people like just hearing you for the first time? I feel like you could have used that years ago. You speak better English than these people.
True, I had it in me, a couple of years ago. Yeah, I could run that.
Might have paused as you said serious instead of series a couple times. That was the only one I noticed.
Yeah, really? Yeah. Still? I'm still living that down.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I just remember you and I, when we were going back to that, it was like that one in particular, because when you look at it, right, your brain is like, it's serious, or is it serious? And everybody does that, by the way. Everybody. You have to use the context of everything else going around to figure out which of those, which to pop in. Or that thing, Johnny, when you wake up and you're typing a message and whatever you're using will say it's spelled incorrect, and you're looking at it going, and then you're all, okay, maybe it is spelled incorrect, but by the time you really break it down, then it doesn't seem like the word even is a word anymore, because your brain...
Yeah, like it stopped making sense.
It explodes it like an Iron Man HUD. Yeah. And suddenly you're all, what the hell?
Yeah, I had that with the word pork.
Pork, yeah,
the other day.
About pork before.
I just saw it and I was like, hold on a second. It just stopped making sense.
It's so funny. And if you watch somebody say it, pork, you're like, if I didn't know English and somebody said, you'd just be like, what the fuck? It sounds like he got punched in the gut. It's pork. It's so funny, man. Language is so awesome in that way. The Steam controllers, I don't know. I definitely think it's the most exciting thing about all the stuff that they showed was the Steam controllers by far, especially when you look at
I think so. That thing was uglier than a fridge from behind.
Dude, but it's so ugly. It's so ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so nasty, but I got to tell you,
it could feel great.
It could feel great. Yeah. When you
like
see
like
it
a
at first,
big
you're like,
dildo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's feel great. Out of place.
It's fair. It's fair. You're the one who said it, so I'm gonna say it's fair. I don't want to, I don't want to offend you. No, when you look at that controller, it's like the size of the Duke, the bigger Xbox One. It's taller.
Yeah.
But with the two, 4 hands or 4 thumbs, whatever.
Yeah,
But
the tentacle.
if it can
hands.
improve RTS, right? If it can, I
Sure.
don't want it as an add-on. Like right now, PlayStation likes to add on the touchpad, and you're like, fuck it, whatever. I want it to be, if you're gonna do it, make it be something that so advances what you're playing or experiencing that you notice it and want to
Yeah.
use it more. So RTSs,
I think for the aiming, maybe like fine aiming, like if you're sniping down, maybe with that for the fine
but
control.
doesn't that feel like you'd have to move your thumb to a totally different controller and then hope you didn't touch it in a different spot so that the aim doesn't jerk up or down?
I hadn't thought that far. That's a good point.
But
it would have to be
your
really smooth
drift.
the way that works.
You're talking about like almost fine aiming.
Yes.
yeah.
But you're right, the transition would be awkward as hell.
Yeah, but
So-
I like the idea. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, like it's hard to win that because
That's the thing. Yeah.
Mm,
And now if you're traveling from,
yeah, that's
north
what I
to
worry
south
about.
on that thing.
Yeah, and hitting slightly above the true center, so now it goes up or goes
Yeah.
down. But I like what you're. I like the idea of, especially because trigger is usually held a lot of times to keep to like lower the DPI, that kind of thing. So it would be cool if there was some way to jump down there. But I was thinking more along the lines of like, okay, bear with me because it's going to sound really weird. But currently, a lot of simulator games try to mimic using the mouse discrete things, like let's say Surgeon Simulator. The idea of being able to have a touch force, where you can feel that haptic feedback. There's some stuff, guitar. If you watch people play The Last of Us 2 and they play the guitar in The Last of Us 2, they're great. It takes a long time, but a lot of them are using the touchpad, obviously, because that's what it needs is for the strumming. That kind of stuff, rhythm games, there's things there that you could do where like the string could feel a certain way if you touch it, you get that haptic feedback. Those kind of things would be great. Fighting games? No. But UFC wrestling, like if you're grappling, currently grappling is completely borked on pretty much any game in the world. It always feels like a button mash contest. But if there was a haptic feedback where you could feel the guard falling apart because you're holding a certain part of your controller face, and then that gets bigger or larger depending on your stats in wrestling, then you're talking about something that could truly be like sort of revolutionary for those people who like that game. Obviously, it's not going to be for everybody. But there's some stuff you could do. Basketball, be pretty interesting to see like how a fucking 3-point would feel with true haptic feedback, and like, is the gap smaller?
Yeah.
If you have a worse score in shooting in that
What
realm.
about flying? Like flight sim.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff could be pretty cool. I think their thumbs, which is the big problem, because while their thumbs are they're sensitive, they're only one of 5 fingers, and I think that at that point it can feel like locked off. Because I mean, can you imagine walking around your life and going, I can only interact with whatever this thing is with one single finger? Do you know what I mean? Like even your fucking cell phone, like I do both thumbs, but sometimes I do use, if you told me, oh, you could only use like your thumbs and nothing else, and I'm on a tablet, let's say typing, well, then I'd have to be like, well, what the fuck? It started to feel weird. I think that's what holds the gamepads back with the haptic. What about, what did you think about like overall its like look for the Steam? I thought the Steam Machines controller looked sort of.
The controller?
Yeah, the controller. It just sort of looked, and I'm not talking about the 4, I'm talking about quality. It looked to me to be sort of low quality plastic. Like it didn't look.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just the way, the shine they took, but it looked, because I felt like the other one was high quality. It's not like the Switch Pro controller, which feels like a lure that you buy for 99 cents at a Safeway or something, where it just looks, it feels really weak. Did you have a Steam controller? The original?
I did.
What do you think of the feel of the heft and the make?
I think it was all right. It was probably somewhere around the normal Xbox controller for me. Just like maybe it was a bit heavier. I think it was a bit chunkier. I liked it overall. I think this one, my big problem is just it looks so massive. There's something about the look of it that you're holding a block. That's the only thing. But again, maybe it feels great because I have big hands. I do like a hefty controller. Like you said, maybe it's one of those things that regardless of the look, feels right.
It feels right. Yeah.
Maybe.
Regardless of the look, it feels right. Let's see.
Go.
What are we?
Don't judge a book by its
people are
cover.
talking about. Oh my God, people are losing their mind, and we'll skip that. Jesus, it's going to be one of those Fridays. We got the conspiracy theories rolling up here. Servant Berserker Zero says, "Are you sure you weren't listening to a BioWare interview?" Don't know what you're talking about. You might be talking back to
because we were talking about the Rockstar creation process that was like fraught and could have gone the other way. Maybe was like imperfect. I guess they're saying BioWare is going magic. Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly.
It's always hard to tell, especially because you and I are talking to each other, and I don't look in there very often. Moving on from there, let's discuss some of the news that we've got for the week. That was a cool little. Honestly, that was sort of fun. Instead of like fucking reading back and forth and all that shit, just randomly like blogosphering about some random news was enjoyable.
Just going in.
Let's see. So more than half. This is from GameSpot. They were showing that there was an analysts suggest. Okay, so first, whatever. This is just it's somebody did a survey. They got the answer. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Same thing with anytime we all talk about surveys. It's just a survey. They were saying that more than half of gamers prefer single-player games, and that as you get older, the chances of you preferring a single-player game is higher. And I gotta say, no shit, I could have saved you $200,000 from doing a survey.
Didn't need no analyst.
Dude, that hasn't like no shit. Just by process of elimination, you hear that when you hear somebody say, like, I've gotten older, my skills have gone down, or blah, blah, blah. I can't understand these young guys playing these, whatever. You know, it's like it feels like that's just generically the number I would assume. But it is funny that I guess it's backed up. So, yeah, more than half prefer single-player games. So there you go. So, I mean, I guess it also depends on how old you are. I also feel like there's this point in time where you get a certain age and everything switches so you fit the survey. So it's like you're 46, right? You're out there feeling young. You got your VR. You're talking to people. You're talking about Riz. You know, everything you do is perfect emoji plants. You got all the you're on it, right? Everything you do is current. It's like fucking current. In fact, you might be driving the current. You might be driving even what 17 and 18-year-olds feel. They're like, dude, I understand this guy. And then the moment you turn 48, the fucking day you turn 48, you can't use your
switch flips.
You've got your cell phone. You're like, fuck, shit. I just turned 48, and you drop your cell phone. You can't understand your tablet. You don't understand what a PIN number is anymore, and you just immediately can't log into multiplayer games. You're like, what was my WoW code? You know what? I'm just gonna play solitaire. Minesweeper.
You instantly need glasses, and you move your head away from what you're looking, and type things with one finger.
I love the idea because it's always whenever the date, whatever age comes up, I use 46 or 48 just for the hell of it. But it always is funny because it does make me, it's like, dude, what does that even mean? Really, when you look at it, I mean, a person being raised differently may have started games 10, 15 years later, may have started them 10, 15 years earlier. So they're not going to leave multiplayer because they have vested experience or knowledge in how games work. Whatever. It's just all so cumbersome when it comes down to it. But I did like that. I love the idea of somebody just turning a certain age and being like, just waking up and just the world is confusing to them. Everything in the world is like, I can't do it. I don't understand. Time to just get a dog. I mean,
probably the biggest factor is time, right? Because around that age, like, you know, chances are you might have a significant other and you have other stuff going on where you don't have as much time. And so what you do play maybe changes, and the amount of like energy, attention you have available changes a lot. That's just a time in your life where you might go through a lot of change. I think that's really the biggest thing, rather than like a physical, like you were saying, it's not like overnight you're going to become a different
There's
human.
Probably some kind of number in there that also indicates the nation or wherever you're taking the survey, their average age of marriage.
Sure.
Because you start looking at somebody getting married. Yeah. Because, or
like have
divorce,
kids.
of divorce, because married may not be single player because you don't have the time. So you jump into a multiplayer game occasionally. Then you get divorced and suddenly you don't have the time for the multiplayer. You want to jump into the single player games you missed for 7 years where your chick was banging the neighbor. So no matter what, it's just weird when you think about it. But I do love it.
And it's funny because
I do like that.
You could make a case either way. You could say, oh, you have less time.
Yeah.
Then you go for a single player game because it's
you
more
don't have
contained.
To get better. Yeah.
Yeah, you can pause whenever, you can control how much time you put in, or you say, well, I have less time, therefore, I don't want a big story game. I'm just going to multiplayer. So you could almost flip that on its head depending on your framing. That's why I don't think it's a very good analysis, not to shit on the analysts there. I just don't think it's
just
that
data.
Ain't it.
That's why I prefaced it, because it's fun to talk about it, but it is just, in the end, it's just whatever you got from that person. That's all you can really say. And then from there on,
And I always wonder, like,
who's
responding to these, like polls or whatever.
People are at home or reading their email who don't have spam, or they're hired. Like, I have seen 1,001 emails from, there's a very particular company that is always looking for survey people, and they pay $25 per survey, I think. See about these surveys. But I'm like, if the people who are filling out the surveys are the ones who are available to see the survey is being offered in the first place,
right?
Doesn't that skew your data? Of course it does. Nobody wants to admit that, but yeah, it skews your data.
That's not even tinfoil. That to me is just common sense.
Dude,
You're selecting.
It's not tinfoil. I've done those surveys, and I can tell you, by generally,
there's a selection effect there.
It's a selection effect, and misused by an enormous number of companies who unapprove something, or sometimes they won't, but even selection effect by just sheer availability of the project. We need it in 8 weeks.
Wanted or
way
accidental.
Different than 16. Yeah.
It's there. Yeah.
Let's see. Game Plus mode is coming to Yotai in this month.
Oh, cool.
And then also Mafia Homeland. What was this new Mafia called? Home Country? Country Sweet Home Alabama?
Oh, new Mafia?
What was the new Mafia called?
I didn't see that.
No. What was the new Mafia called is what I'm asking.
Oh, Old Country.
Old Country, not Home Country.
Yeah.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
That one is getting a open world, like new game.
Oh, like a free roam, right?
Roam.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, so that'd be cool to see. But I love the idea that you only heard half because you were so excited about the idea of a new one that you started looking
I'm already
online.
like, oh, dude.
Yes, yeah. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Nah.
Did you, man, NVIDIA, dude, I wish I had invested. Those guys, holy shit. They did their investor announcement. And I was like, everybody who's working on that stuff, I was like, damn it. I wish I had got into this. I'm always late because I'm always like the person who's like,
I keep expecting them to go down, like some bubble's gonna burst. Yeah.
Oh, dude, the whole bubble bursting thing, that's been kiboshed by. There's like a bubble that's there, but the bubble that's under it of real work is exploding as well. So you have this odd situation where it's replacing so much stuff that if something starts to collapse over here, they just go boom and they move over there, and there's some other place that maybe took more effort to fix or add AI into, which adds AI into it. But dude, I mean, it's so crazy to see it. What I like is ignoring all the weird shit, just base level stuff. What I saw recently, and this is why I'm like, listen, whatever a person may feel, I'm happy for this stuff. So I don't really give a fuck if somebody's bitching. I love things like translation services now, where they're instant. I saw somebody use a translation service which was just absolutely instant, and its success rate was so much higher than the pre. And
wow.
By the way, ignoring the fact that a lot of people have no clue what generative AI is versus normal AI. So we are talking about that too. But it was really cool to see a room, 12 people in the room, all different languages, not a single shared word, and they all were able to do an hour-long discussion. That was one of the coolest things I've ever been able to experience in my life.
So they just had
it was last weekend. I got to sit in on
headphone.
It was everybody talking and just everybody having this like discussion.
Communal.
Yeah, and then one of the guys was showing drawing with like AI drawing, was showing it where he was taking sketches, a little bit like NVIDIA's sketch service, where you take a general sketch and turn it into something that looks like magnificent Bob Rossian kind of stuff. And to hear some of the kids who had never seen that kind of stuff, that were from like particular areas of the world, that's not really a thing that they get to see, just explode. I mean, like in a way, I'm trying to think if I saw something like this when I was a kid. You know, the excitement. Yeah, you never did this because they're not big in your area. But if you ever, maybe the first concert you went to, that doesn't really even translate. But that
maybe like the way we grew up without cell phones.
No, I'm trying to think of an event. Well, okay, you could say that, I guess. Yeah, the first time you saw something that truly wowed you, like an adult seeing magic, which is pretty rare for us to see. And there were people who were like 15 and 16 in the room who were like seeing magic for the first time. And I was just sitting there going like, wow, this is, if everything else goes away and like I die in a week, it's like to be able to experience a bunch of people in that.
Yeah.
That was,
I mean, to me,
one of the coolest
that's Star Trek shit. You know, that's sci-fi, because we would see that,
what is
aliens
and then
talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've seen it in movies where they just have an instant translation.
Yeah.
And
it was awesome, man.
I mean, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, by the way, the people in that craft, the translators, they are screwed, right? Because
I don't know if they're screwed because you have slang. Actually, is insanely good in this, like especially this new test language that they're using, or test system model that they're using, was like, that's why I was there. It wasn't, it wasn't the normal shit you're seeing. And I would say that no, I see that human is gonna be it's gonna matter to everybody somewhere, sometime. But the explosion in ability, and there's always a deballing that wants to go on. And by the way, I've dealt with this with martial arts. Let me give you an example. You have somebody who knows a lot of martial arts. You have somebody who's really good, and somebody's enjoying something, and it's a classical martial art. This is sort of the way, and somebody's enjoying it. They're like, oh man, I love Taekwondo, right? I'm just guessing Taekwondo. And you always have some jackass in your class who's like, Taekwondo would never work on the street. And while I may joke with you about that, if I saw a student wanting to do that thing and it's making them happy and they're like jumping in, I'm going to back that up. I'm going to be like, dude, just shut the fuck up, because that might lead them into something else. It might get them. But you see a lot of like the desire to deball, or desire to talk down. It's like, instead, when you see stuff like this, when I saw this translation thing, I was like, yeah, translators may need to worry, but there's the human element. Look at Reg when he went to Japan. There were actual ads for small Asian men renting themselves to be your guide.
Yep.
That's not going to be replaced.
Your friend as well.
They were rent a friend.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That to me is amazing. And it indicates that it's not going away anytime soon. Those kind of things aren't going to be replaced by a computer with a square head and a fucking smiley box on his face, right?
Yeah. And it also differentiates the people who are really good in their craft.
Yeah.
They can add this layer of nuance and interpretation that's beyond what AI can do right now, right? AI is going to give you a kind of cut and dry translating of it. But there might be nuances and like cultural things where they say something in a different way, but actually what they mean is X.
Yeah.
This type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty crazy because they had the translators in the room who were doing the stuff with the AI. And the one guy looked at me and he's like, that was 100%. He's like,
damn,
that is absolutely crazy. It did the pronunciation correctly. It's a new TTS that they're using. It's not Vibe Voice, which is one of the more advanced ones, but it's a new one with a phonetic simulator. And he was like, what the
wow.
What the But
you were talking about kids, but kids are growing up with this.
Well, what I was going to say
this is going to be,
for him, it was even more exciting because that's exactly what he said. He's like, the ability for people to like understand each other that's huge for just even world peace, even people talking who have weird, translation issues when you travel somewhere, whatever. Kids who are able to gather this kind of stuff, get more information, get a broader worldview than wherever you may be, that's massive. That's like a huge improvement. And it's going to be a while before these come out because a lot of them are like, they're in testing or they're trying to do this. That's one of the reasons why I like to do it, is sort of see, where we are on these kind of things. But I don't see people going away. I don't see people going away in really anything, because there's always going to be somebody who wants to pay for a hand job, even if there's a computer that does it perfect.
For the human effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's it's
I
right.
was going to say a painting instead of a hand job, but same idea.
But don't you agree? Like, there's always somebody who wants to go to the concert versus hear it. There's always somebody who
even if the song is shittier, they might want to pay extra because it was made by a person.
That's a hot take. You and I can have a discussion about the old, like, do you like the studio or the live version?
The live.
That shit is a hilarious discussion, because everybody's got their pinky up in that one. Man, I've had those discussions before. But so
it's an interesting one.
But looking at this kind of stuff, I don't see it going away. Ubisoft has talked about it. They're for sure doing it. Sony's for sure doing it. Nintendo has stated that they're not, but developers are probably doing it. That's the other thing, is what they announce versus what they do is pretty different. But I don't see humans going away for a while. I see like additive, and I think that that's pretty cool. But I see humans in the middle for a while. I just wouldn't want to replace a human in some stuff, Like I can admit, hearing a bunch of games with really bad voices, there are times where I'm like, AI voice would be better than this shit. Like, this is fucking horrible. It's just the way it is. This music is horrendous. And yes, I would rather listen to static on a radio than what I'm hearing right now. But for the most part, it's not that. And I think that there's always going to be that. We're still buying albums, man. There's still,
and it will be
people buying records
for everybody. For example, for me, I don't want to read a book that's AI generated. I think I never will. Even if they become great at some point, I think that that's where it gets like
touchy.
gray line. But to me, the fact that someone wrote it is part of the magic of reading it. And the idea that it was generated kind of removes that. Even if it turned out to be a great book, I might change my tune on that. Let's circle back to that in 10 years and see where we're at with that.
Man, I wasn't even going there. I was simply talking about the platform. Like, I still feel that people buy books instead of PDFs on their tablets. Yeah. So then you get the other, then you get the farther on thing, which is like, how in depth do you want to get it? But aren't humans supposed to go away in 2029? Pretty sure I saw that on the Terminator. Was it 2029? I haven't seen the Terminator in years. Moving on from there, but that was all literally just to talk about investing, and suddenly it got into that's how ingrained this entire thing is in discussion. But moving on from there and looking at some of the news this week. So Xbox did their stuff. Xbox showed their event, did all their kind of thing. Valve did theirs. I do want to point out, I'll probably read them in a second. I got some hilarious messages about the Steam machines and stuff like that were just, people taking the piss, some people nice. But that was before, I think it was Linus, right? Tech Tips had stated that when he was with Valve and he was talking to them about price, they seemed genuinely sort of confused by his idea that it was going to be a console price. And that he said when he brought up the price, the room's vibe was not good, indicating it would be more than whatever a console would be. Let's say 500, just for shits and giggles. Yep. We know that it can be more. I never thought it was going to be it doesn't make any sense, but regardless, he was saying that. I don't know about you, but I don't find it that surprising that, especially when you look at the small surface area that like the deck has, because people will bloviate it, but then when you look at the actual numbers, you're like, holy shit, that is an insanely small. Why should they sell at a loss as well? It seems to me they're selling you a store. That's the entire reason for those existing. That's why the frame exists like it does. That's why the Steam machine, they are there to sell you a store. That's what matters. They're getting 30%. They want to sell you a store. Makes sense. Nintendo's selling you a store. We can't pretend one company's doing it and the other's not. Did you expect it to be like, what would be your guess? How about that? If I said, okay, you have to identify the price of the Steam machine, Johnny, looking at everything, what would you sell it at? What would you sell it at? We'll go with that. If I said, Johnny, you're in charge.
Well, I thought it was going to be much more expensive than the current consoles. I was thinking something around $800. Might seem like a lot of money, but remember the index was over 1,000, right?
Yeah, and the Knuckles were 400. Were they 400 when they first came out?
I don't even remember, but yeah, that was pricey. And then they were saying for their new VR headset, the frame.
Yeah, they stated they couldn't even figure out if it was going to be less than
they
the
were
index.
Struggling. Yeah, so then you look at it and you say, well, it's probably going to be a bit more in the neighborhood of that than what a current console is. That's my thinking. 800, 900. I think that's where it's going to land.
Does that feel... Man, that's... Dude, it's
a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and it's such a bad deal when you compare it to everything else that's available. Like you'll see somebody say, oh, but the OS, it's like, okay, that's valid for the 1 second you're in the OS. If we are talking about a game device, you're hitting that thing versus me hitting the shortcut. I can honestly tell you hitting a shortcut isn't going to be worth whatever. Microsoft is rolling out the OS experience. I don't know what that's going to be, nor do I care too much. Regardless, you're still looking at a delta that's pretty huge. You know, no matter how much you may like or dislike Chinese companies who are dropping their prices suspiciously low, by the way. Suspicious. Dude, suspicious as shit. We talked about this in the voice chat yesterday. We were doing some indexing on prices, and some things seem pretty odd on some of the pricing. Like, what exactly is the plan here? But the Steam machine... If that thing was $499, I feel like that's awesome. Like that to me, form factor, all that, even though it's locked off and you're stuck with the 8 gigs, that would be insane. And especially when you look at its comparison to a lot of these mini PCs, I'd be like, dude, 500, I'd be like, okay, pretty good. Especially if if you've got their quality and they're going to make sure that things are done right. But then, then you get to like the 600 and stuff, and it's never really just a comparison like for hardware. It is the ecosystem. It is also trust. If you trust a company, which is fine, that somebody may trust Valve more than Nintendo or whatever. But I do feel that there is a major issue, and that's that they announced it now with no price, and it's coming out in 2026. And as multiple people have indicated, it's pretty rare to have a company show that much and not tell you the price, which usually indicates there's a huge problem with either guessing the price, eliminating prices you for sure won't hit. There's some oddity there with how this was all done. I just feel like we're economics wise, we're going to be in such trouble in 2026 unless something magically changes, because it's not just income, it's RAM prices and actual hardware prices are skyrocketing, and no company is going to magically lower the price. If today everything got fixed, do people really think that these companies are going to dramatically drop the price without trying to grift the people who are going to pay that for at least for a while? Feels like for a while. So I'm just wondering where that price is going to be. Like, I don't know. You were thinking 800. I'd have to look again. I'm not really impressed at all with it tech-wise. I need to sort of see how small it is.
Is
you know.
maybe FSR the difference maker, where they can run games much better than,
All mini
say,
PCs have
a
FSR.
PlayStation?
Yeah. Mini PCs have it. Yeah, there's nothing special about that part. So
No, yeah, but like comparing it to consoles,
consoles have FSR though.
do they? Okay,
Yeah,
my bad.
That's all right. The reason why you didn't think they did is because for a long time it just wasn't built into their actual systems and it hadn't got the improvements. But yeah, consoles will have FSR now. You can also do upscaling of any kind, and it's not hardware advanced like it is on these new systems. So the Steam Machine, will have the ability to probably in some way accelerate it beyond what a console can do. But what's really going on with that PCs and stuff, and the reason why they're so a lot of times better, is because you can adjust things a ton. A console, dude, how many times have you looked at a console and you're like, what resolution is this even running at? You know, it's usually two, performance and quality. We're lucky now that we're occasionally getting, what would you call it? Balanced? Right. Yeah. Performance, quality, balanced. Yeah. And so the new consoles will have some of the improvements. This will have certainly some, I hope. We'll see some improvements, especially with FSR. Redstone, I think, is their new version of FSR. But probably, I mean, dude, unless something magically changes, you're talking about a system that is just, it's very oddly packed when you look at the competition. So we'll have to see. The frame is even weirder. The frame is weird.
Yeah, the frame is another conversation too. I was going to say, you also don't have the implicit guarantee that games are thoroughly tested for that system the way you do with PlayStation or Xbox.
Oh, right.
Where games are marketed and, tested, QA'd and everything for that console. I don't think that will happen for Steam Machine. It's going to, I imagine it's going to be similar to the verification thing they have for Steam Deck.
Oh, God,
which is an internal thing only.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's be honest, that
that thing sucks.
That's like the bad clock that's right twice a day or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Luckily the mini PCs are, they've dominated. They're doing very well in their small space. What I mean is technology-wise, they're doing well for the size and everything. Not that they're selling a boatload. That they do seem to be selling okay. But I do love it because it does offer competition. It'll, listen, I don't know any other way to say it. We know they're trying to sell you a store. They're not like trying to make you feel good. They're not doing you a favor. It's like they want to sell you their store. So you buy games. That's how they make their money. I would love to see them drop the price dramatically so that if that's what they want to do, you subsidy, you put it on some kind of system that it's backed up a little bit by the sales of the store. They've stated they're not doing that, which then makes me wonder if you're talking about the 600, 700, which is quite a difficult proposition.
Do you think it will be more powerful than PS5 or like PS5 Pro?
It feels
Xbox?
To me, by looking at the numbers and by the reports of the people who played, that it's in between the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. So it is there. Well, that's ancient.
Ballpark.
Now that I think about it, but yeah, it is there. Yeah. So that's where
because it's also next year, as you said. So it's not even today.
Yeah, it's next year and no price, which is your your question mark. Luckily, I think that I trust their workmanship for the most part. Sure. I don't remember if there was any issues with the Steam Deck. It's been ages. I wasn't really happy with that device, but I don't remember being unhappy with its workmanship. So if they can get those pieces in there, nice little contained box, I think that's, for the fans who are like Sony, or not Sony fans, sorry, but big Valve fans who just want to support Valve because they're a tiny itsy bitsy $1 billion company, you can support Valve. But other than that, I really need to see the price first and need to see what they offer. The frame interests me more because they've stated that they're rolling out the foveated streaming SDK and the tools to everybody. The device itself is very old-fashioned. And they made that clear. It's not really there to it's not really pushing any parameters forward at all. But foveated streaming, that's awesome. if you can figure that out. And I would love to see that sort of go up because I don't have an issue with, I know a lot of people have issues with streaming VR. I don't. I've streamed from my routers before. I've streamed, I think it was Quest that had its little mini router, I think. The Pico, I've done streaming. I'm fine with streaming VR. You know, I get that it's got some artifacts and stuff, but the biggest issue is battery. They can fix a battery, right? Good battery.
Yeah.
It's always what matters. Christopher Jets, $5 super chat. What's up, Chris? He says, do you think Valve has Half-Life 3, which would appeal to non-PC gamers? Maybe that gets people without a PC to get a box. So, okay. I think it would be crazy as shit if Valve was like, only the Steam machine can play Half-Life 3. That would be the craziest crazy that ever crazy to crazy or crazy. Like, I wouldn't even know how to handle it. So the idea that somehow the Steam machine would be sold by simply Half-Life 3 being on PC, that would be odd to me, because Half-Life 3 would most likely be pushing graphics, and that system is 8 gigabytes, which is insanely low for VRAM. So it would be very weird for them to say, okay, it's only playing on this machine. So it's not, I don't think anybody believes that's what would happen. So then they're like, well, it's on PC. Would anybody who had a 4090 buy that? And would anybody who didn't have any device want to jump into that when they could jump into something else that was either more powerful or more, you know, could do more diverse group of things? Just
the only exclusivity there might be it's exclusive to Steam, meaning PC and
it'll be
Steam machine.
Yeah.
Which then still means mostly PC.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be amazing, though, if they were like, Half-Life 3 just for Steam machines? I don't know.
First of all, looks like crap.
And it looks like crap. First of all, I don't care about Half-Life 3 at all. Like, if it came out, I'll love it, probably play it, probably really enjoy it. If it's not there, I don't give a shit. Like, I'll play it at some other future time. But I do love the idea of somebody being that ballsy. That would be funny as hell, to be like, Gabe just comes out and he's like, I've got a yacht, man. I don't care. We're only selling as many copies as can fit in the swimming pool of my yacht, and it is only exclusive to the Steam machine. That would be fucking amazing. It would never happen, but God, that'd be awesome. Berserk says, Gen Zs most likely never played Half-Life at all. Not sure if it will matter much. Half-Life will matter to us, right? Half-Life will matter to the people who are, you know, over probably 30 who maybe have experienced Half-Life Alyx. VR did well. That game was amazing on VR.
I mean, dude, I hope our friendship doesn't hinge on this, but I'm 37 and I've never played any Half-Life game.
No, I mean, I get that. I get like
okay.
Like no,
I thought we were just like
no.
Friendship over.
No. I totally get it. I'm just saying I agree with this person saying that for some people, well, you fit on the outer edge of the number, but there is a chance that Half-Life 3's excitement causes new people to want to play it, right? We've seen that. So
yeah.
But what he's saying is that since it's not a zeitgeist game in the current, wherever the current edge of the market is, it may not work. But I think when you look at it, dude, I think excitement matters. And if there's a new game coming up and you see people talking about it and they say it's the third game, I think that can do wonders. It doesn't require you to have.
Yeah, and also people have the feeling that they're missing out because they haven't played. Like I have the feeling I'm missing out on Half-Life 1 and 2 because I haven't played those. So if there was a new one, I would definitely want to play it, even more so because of that, in a weird way. I think it kind of works like that too. It's a big FOMO, you know?
Yeah. Chris says, ACG, I meant the PC gamers would have access to Half-Life 3. However, console gamers without a PC might buy a Steam box. Wow. I mean, listen, if somebody's paying $660 for a game.
Yeah.
So let me bring up something
We've seen it, man.
I thought was pretty interesting. Matt, the guy who does NPDs and stuff, I'm sorry, I can't remember his last name, but he was talking last week, which I talked about a little bit in last Friday's podcast, as well as a side podcast. But he was talking about sort of what's going on right now, which it seems like multiple people are at a certain level and they're buying and not really reacting to the high prices too much, which surprised them. Numbers back that up, where the $70 isn't really stopping a particular group of people. That demographic hasn't been hit or noticed the price increase. Then you have the people who are below that, who not only notice the price increase, but they focus on subscription services and things that pay off over time, which is one of the reasons why there's such an argument, whether it be in our Discord, whether it be here, whether it be in the world, where a lot of people are like, I don't understand where you're coming from. How dare you subscribe? And the person who is the person who's subscribing to a service is like, how dare you tell me I need to purchase a more expensive thing just to appease you, right? And then you have the middle ground, which isn't really talking. The middle ground is doing their own thing off to the side or talking a bunch on, your websites. I do feel like that's happening right now, where we're starting to get this odd sort of disconnect where it's difficult sometimes to even bring up like Half-Life, because there's so many games too. The same thing can be said for games where you'll be like, hey, Half-Life Alex, did you play it? And people who love VR, by the way, who I know love VR, are like, no, I haven't played Half-Life Alex. And I'm like, but you love VR? They're like, yeah, but I've been playing 15 other games, whatever. Or I don't have the money for it. I spent the money on the headset because I liked this game and that was a disaster, so the headset isn't played anymore or whatever. So the idea that like everybody can purchase a game for $660 if the system's 600 plus the game, I don't see the numbers being dramatically high. What I see is people supporting Valve because they believe Valve is, hurt and Gabe needs another yacht. Those kind of people are out there. And then you get people who just buy and suck up whatever their company sells, just like a sports team.
Sure.
And then it goes up and down depending on the price. So there will always be Steam supporters who love them forever and support them no matter what. They could like literally slaughter entire civilizations on TV. Those people are going to support them forever. That we know there are people like that. And then you get the people who hate them. But that middle ground is where it goes up and down depending on price. Price is going to matter, man. Price is going to be the big thing. And I don't know if Half-Life matters as much as the price, I guess, is what I'm saying. It feels to me like Half-Life is questionable in where it hits. Price is not. Does that make sense? Maybe is that a better way of putting it?
I think it does. And if you compare it with what the Index did, which was here's Half-Life Alex, was a similar move. Yeah. And arguably that still didn't get that many people to buy the Index. It was definitely an extra selling point because you had something to play on it that was unique. But I still, the price point is so high that it just doesn't justify the purchase by itself, I don't think, for almost anybody.
Bep says, I couldn't play Alex. I get viscerally scared by the head crab zombies. It's too immersive. Raz says Half-Life 3 will be Steam only and subscription based. Jesus Christ, man. We're entering into straight up Black Mirror stuff. This is why these discussions are so hard. You always get by the way, I know that's a joke, but I'm saying what people suggest isn't impossible. You want it to be impossible because you look at Black Mirror, look at stuff Orwellian TV shows. You're like, that'll never happen. And then you're like, oh, okay, maybe I was wrong. I see something like that. I'm like, never. And then I start to go like,
yep,
maybe so. But yeah, pricing is definitely the biggest thing. I think Half-Life is a great, it's a great game, man. And I think I hate the idea of it being exclusive to, I'm not saying consoles, because if the console can't run it, it can't run it. But the idea of like it being a store exclusive or something like that is just no.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Yeah.
That would be so funny though, man. It would only this.
I mean, it's still only the 90% of people would be playing it on PC.
Absolutely.
On Steam. Sure. But let's be real.
I want to play it, man. I want to play it. I don't get excited about that stuff. I get interested once I see it. I think that would be...
If it became a thing, you probably would be excited, right?
And I don't even remember Half-Life that much anyway, because it's been... Dude, Half-Life 2, which was de facto a way for them to trick you into downloading Steam, which one of the best Trojan horse like style deliveries in human history
Worked.
has to be Steam and Half-Life and all the because I lived through that shit where people were just absolutely could not believe that they had to install Steam.
And like Team Fortress and the Orange.
Oh yeah, the Orange box
or
right?
whatever,
The Orange box. Holy shit.
A lot of people installed Steam for those things. Or Counter-Strike.
Congratulations. You got tricked.
Yes.
And now they even tricked you
200
into
games
not
later,
realizing you can hit two shortcuts.
yeah. 200 games later,
my fingers are too fat.
Bought in.
Fully invested. Speaking on that though, let's talk about the Game Awards. So, did you see the announcements on who?
No, I have to be honest. I'm a little bit Game Awarded out.
Okay.
A little bit.
You know what? Let's finish
rough.
this then. Let's just be done with it. I'll just say the thing.
No,
and
but
let's move
you
on
can
to
run me
something
through.
Fucking good. No, fuck it.
Because if you saw
some
interesting ones,
I'm just going to tell you the thing that was up, and let's just move on, man. Let's skip this because I'm Game Awarded out as well. I'm so Game Awarded out. I didn't even want to talk about this.
Let's circle
thing.
back to it when it
next
actually
year.
happens.
Next year, maybe 6 years from now, we'll circle back to it because that's how much it matters. Let me cover it real quick. People were saying, and I don't remember, it was like, I don't know, it might have been QVC or something, some guy selling on internet or something. I don't know, but some random person was like, oh, the reason why Arc Raiders isn't Game of the Year in the Game of the Year awards section is because they were trying to shirk away from the AI controversy. That's idiotic because it's in the multiplayer, which is technically by sheer numbers and magnitude of reporting about 10 times higher than the Game of the Year. Game of the Year is usually talked about and then gone away. Game of the multiplayer game, not only is there, but it's a multiplayer game, which means concurrently, most likely, it's continually played and continually experienced, which can replace the Game of the Year. So Game of the Year might pop, but multiplayer game stays. So idiotic statement. So you look at that. Here's the problem. When the idea that Arc Raiders is not in sound or audio of the year shows a distinct lack of knowledge on the entire group's side when it comes to audio. That is ignoring the fact that, remember, I'm not a big fan of the game. I don't love the game. I think it's pretty good.
But you just think technically...
I don't think technically...
It was at a really good level.
Dude, on fucking movie podcasts with audio engineers, they are talking about Arc Raiders. That should make anybody go, wait, what? What's happening? People outside of gaming who are audio engineers, music engineers in their podcasts are talking about Arc Raiders audio. So if you ignore me, if you ignore anybody in gaming, that has impacted people outside of gaming in its fidelity, its ability for 3D channeling, all that kind of stuff. It is outside of gaming making a massive impact, and people who are not even playing games are listening to samples and podcasts. That's a big deal. And it shows less the desire to get away from AI and shows a complete lack of understanding in the entire awards section when it comes, whether it be the voters, whether it be the people who suggested the games. It shows their distinct lack of knowledge when it comes to audio.
Yeah.
And that is something inherently, unfortunately, we've all known for years.
Sure. I mean, we know how that process works,
we know
right? Like the voting.
Works. Yeah. But I thought that was insanely...
So that's interesting.
Like, it's everywhere.
Because it sounds to me like even when delivered with the thing they should be looking for, they don't know to look for it. They don't know to recognize it. In a way.
I mean, I saw people like lauding Valhalla's audio to no end, and that's like, or Watch Dogs Legion, both are, which are known to have very actual real problems, or Battlefield's open world free-to-play game, which has a very real audio issues that like are noticeable by, well, anybody. So... and especially that one, because you play the normal game and the audio is pretty good in Battlefield, and you play their free-to-play game and you're like, wait, what? Like, what is going on? It's night and day. But yeah, so I don't see any like real shirking away from that. I just feel like, in fact, multiplayer is such a big deal. Putting it up for multiplayer game of the year or multiplayer of the year is a massive deal. And I don't think it has to do with shirking away or being brave. It just has to do with complete lack of knowledge on the audio side from whomever like suggested that. And then also maybe taking not enough examples for the game of the year. Maybe, I don't know how many can they have for like your nominations? 6, 8, maybe? I think it's 6.
It's a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. But I think that just, builds my opinion that the outcome of the Game Awards shouldn't really matter too much at all for you as a consumer. I think they're cool it's a cool moment for the devs. It's a cool moment of celebration, recognition.
Very much so.
This is why I like them having the time, being able to come up, say a few words, they get emotional, they talk about their journey, the people they're grateful for. I love that shit. I think that's the cool part of it that I want to see more of. Less so the choice itself, or like, oh, why was this game chosen? I'm just kind of okay with the fact that those are down to certain people's opinions. And I just accept that they largely will be different than mine and many of us in our circles.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. Like, I can't even really care about it much more than to say what I said. Like, it's just, it doesn't really matter at all. There isn't too much of an impact, and it's great for the people to win.
Yep.
But that's all. It's really nothing anymore other than a trailer event. And that's become sort of the thing, right? Is that like there's trailers, there's a special stinger, there's somebody coming out and talking. There is celebrations, but they've moved a bunch of the major things even off of the main event onto like side cards, or given the award during a commercial or what have you. I think the steadfast desire and really almost like the fetish that gaming has had towards movies is absolutely detrimental now. So the fetish of like, we want to be the Oscars, when the Oscars doesn't even want to be the Oscars anymore because it's not working. And you see gaming's consistent just like focus on being the Oscars and being that kind of thing. It's lost a bunch of people because a lot of us watched gaming awards to get away from the Oscars or to get out of that kind of style of awards. You were like, oh, we still want big awards, but this is gaming. This is interactive. We want to see these things. Like, we want to celebrate things that maybe aren't celebrated in movies in our awards. And how quickly did that turn around? It took maybe a year and a half before we immediately were like, wait, how did we get here? And suddenly, that's where we are. The It Takes Two guy ranting. Yeah, that was awesome. I think those are fun, but scripted. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm totally being honest. I think a lot of these supposed rants and all this it's scripted.
Oh, it's staged?
Yeah. I don't know if they know. But what I'm saying is, to me, a rant is when a person goes on a rant. True rant. Free form, live, blah, blah, blah. That one was probably real because there were some mistakes. But sometimes you get these rants, just like you and I talked about this prior to the podcast. The old pretend influencer with the fucking, like, people's intelligence dramatically increased the moment Elgato started selling the
prompter.
The prompter.
Yeah.
And suddenly you see people going like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And then they'll be like, and what I think is, and they're pretending to look to the side, and then you'll see them like look back at the prompter. And that kind of stuff is sort of what I see in the rants sometimes, or just the one-liners, sort of it's just the way it is, man. It's just the way it is. I mean, how many award shows do we got? We got Game Awards. What's
Summer
the Dipstick Award?
Summer
not
Games.
Dipstick. What the fuck are they called? There's something with stick in the name. The Golden Joystick, right? There's
okay.
Golden Joystick. I was close. Dipstick. There's
I'm with you. Yeah.
So there those two, and then there's GDC. I think does something. Then doesn't Dice?
Yeah, Summer Awards,
Dice
right?
has
Summer
something
Games,
which is really good. I don't. Does Summer have
Summer
an
Game
event?
Awards, something? Yeah,
Really?
Keeley has another big event in summer. I think they do awards.
Oh, okay. Salois says, finally caught a live show after 3 years of watching on Spotify. Got Dispatch yesterday because you guys love the podcast. Dude, it's cool you got Dispatch, man.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Summer Games Fest is just games. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I don't think there's a...
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't
bad.
think there's an event in summer. But it would be awesome to be like, hey, guys, we're just doing the first 6 months of this year. Fuck it. Here's your awards. We don't even care about December anymore. The Game Awards is so messed up already in date and times that, dude, I don't know if you saw that, but at the end, it was like when the awards got announced, I can't remember who it was, but somebody on Twitter was like, listen, why is this game not on there? And they're like, well, it didn't fall within the 14.2 fucking gigawatts of energy that it needed and a certain date, and it didn't fall in. You're like, dude, this is exactly the shit that we as a industry, especially with the world selling things on different time markets, Australia versus, we should be able to figure this out and be like, guess what? December 31st, that's the day. Because, the world agrees. We're moving on from this bullshit jackassery we've had every year with somebody having to come out and explain why some game didn't get on to the year awards because their idea of a year is completely different.
Almost had an issue where, because of the episodic and it, the release kind of spread throughout
shit.
several weeks.
Right.
They actually kind of elapsed outside of the Game of the Year window.
Damn.
And I think they were almost not picked up because of that. I think in the end they were, though, which is good for those guys.
Yeah.
Because then they also wouldn't have been within the window of the next one, weirdly enough. So it's almost like a limbo. They were in.
That's, I obviously, hadn't even thought about that. So I wonder what best ongoing game is. Is it like fucking Cyberpunk again? Did Cyberpunk get awarded?
They're selling, they're selling like crazy, man.
Let me check. Let me look here. Games, fuck it. Nah, I don't even care to look at the Game Awards anymore. That's how much I've really lost interest. Like, it's sad because...
when the real event happens, I would still watch it. If we're going to watch like in the Discord or stream it, I would still be down. Because like I say, I do like the celebration. The fact that like, people are getting excited. We got like the music, they do the medley, which is awesome. They bring in people. You get to see like the devs talk about their game and have their moment. So I'm still going to be there for that. It's just that the picks, I'm not going to take, too personally when they say like, oh, this is the best game in this category, because I think even the categories are fraught and a lot of them don't even make sense. Like strategy. Okay, well, is RTS in there? Is like, because
what games?
That's a big ass.
And is the genres mix, right? And you have these games that are like 6 or 7 genres in one. Or you have that bullshit. Like, listen, as somebody who is called that, I just find it really weird. I find it really uncomfortable, super uncomfortable that we have like an influencer of the year or whatever they call it. I don't know what it's called. Man. That is one of the most, is like fucking cringe inducing, because I don't even know how to describe it, man. Like, if a Heisman Trophy was suddenly given out to an announcer who announced college football games, maybe it would make sense. But as a comparison, there's not that many that I see that, like, because I don't create the game. I review the game or whatever, and you see a Twitch streamer, they're not even doing that much. They're just reacting to sound effects or things on the game, or they're playing a game. So the idea that like they should be in the same,
they get an award.
Well, but I mean, even mentioned in the same, it's not even connected. No. I mean, it's such a weird. It's
and not even that, dude. But it's so tenuous, the connection, that you have like arts creator, best arts creator. So you have like types of creators being awarded. I think I saw this at least. I think I saw like creative arts.
I don't think so.
Could be wrong in that. Is it just creator?
It's
maybe
just,
I saw different.
It's just creator /
thing.
streamer. But you're talking about like what you were thinking is maybe there was like a person who. What were you thinking? Because that's not there. I'm trying to think.
I might have seen something completely different, and I'm mixing it up together.
I hope you did. Because if you
that.
did see it, then I think we might as well just.
What is funny though is that I think every year, most of the nominees for best
are
creator
complete unknowns.
Complete unknowns.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I keep talking to people like, "Do you know that person?" And they're like, "I got nothing."
I guess it's just.
And then you go look, and they're like,
are.
"Yeah." You go look, and it's like, "Oh, some Fortnite streamer in Latin America." Nothing against Latin America. I'm just saying.
Right.
Some of those are pretty obscure.
Or Roblox, where being a small streamer in Roblox, let's say, is a massive streamer for many other huge games. That's because of how big Roblox is. So, like, if you think about it in that term, because Roblox is its own platform now, with billions of people apparently playing it, more people than apparently Planet Earth has. It sort of separates everything. Yeah, it's a weird one. But moving on from there, we said we weren't going to talk about it. We talked about it anyway. I don't know how the fuck we stuck on it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Hate this shit. Let's talk about good stuff. Let's talk about shit that actually matters in gaming. Let's talk about... Here we go. Nothing matters in gaming. I was thinking. I tried to think, but nothing matters. So I guess that's the end of the podcast. No, I'm just joking. I couldn't think of anything that was really good news this week.
Well, we do have some good news.
Go for it.
Couple things, actually. A couple cool releases. So Astroneer had a new expansion that adds new tech that looks pretty cool. So Astroneer, pretty cool game. If people haven't played it. Sorry, gone blurry here.
Oh, that's all right.
If people haven't played it, it's a really cool game, and it's gotten a ton of content updates. And this latest one looks pretty cool. Another one is Risk of Rain 2. In my opinion, one of the best roguelite style games out there. Also got a bunch of content. A new DLC just dropped.
Oh,
I completely forgot what it's called. But
one of my favorite games of all time, one of the best games. I don't know what it's called.
Absolutely forgot.
No, I get you. I do it all the time. That's great. It's great.
So this was the third DLC for it, and it's called, let's see, Alloyed Collective. There you go.
All right.
But the point is, they've added so much content to this game. So I played it maybe 1 year ago, 2 years ago, and now it has like double the playable classes.
Damn.
Pretty much double the maps.
Okay.
Like new items, new routes you can do in the game, like secret bosses, different routes you could take, different things. This DLC adds a completely new thing, like new route to it as well. Every class is incredibly unique. Okay. And the gameplay is really, it's one of the best when it comes to like looter shooter rogue lights. Bit of a mouthful, but it's in that subgenre, and I think it nails it. So highly recommend that. So we got some good stuff dropping this week.
It's weird that this week has been so like, I don't know, maybe it's because in the last couple of weeks we had Where Winds Meet, a couple other, like somewhat bigger games. They sort of came, and we're not in the like doldrums or anything, but it feels like December sort of got a couple games mid-December. But I can't really remember anything at the starting of December. So it's sort of a quiet time right now, or quieter. And then Dispatch weirdly sort of exploded in popularity. And I think that the talk around it sort of caused people to sort of, the energy level went high, and then now it's just a little lower. So there's not like a lot that I can even think of that's worth mentioning for like game news. It's been I mean, it's been, even with the Steam machine, which really isn't news because it's not even coming out. Nobody knows about it. It's just like a blurb. There wasn't really anything super impactful in the last couple of weeks. Robert said he's enjoying Stalker 2, and it's on PlayStation 5. So that was
nice,
exclusive, I think, for a while. But yeah, it's been a really weird week, man, because I was expecting some, something. I don't know. Maybe somebody to be like, hey, here's a surprise. I think it was because the Xbox event came up, and sometimes they'll do surprises. They did say there were 3 games to play, admittedly, but I was sort of hoping for something, like big to pop up.
Yeah, nothing too big. I did see PlayStation issued refunds for Mind's Eye, which, I mean, we always say that nobody wants to make a bad game, so it must suck for the devs, right? Obviously, they didn't want it to have all these performance issues, but
is that why they're refunding? They better not be refunding it because it's a bad game, because then you would have to try to figure out who gets to decide it's a bad game and refunding it. That
no,
would be
according to
weird.
This, it was because of the crashes, because it's having lots of crashes on PlayStation.
Checks out. Yeah, checks out. Okay. You get what I'm saying, though, right?
So,
like, I don't think you want any subjective, like, okay, this sucks, therefore I get
your game sucks, let's refund it.
Yeah, because I mean, then there's no truth in there's no easy truth in that, where it crashes, shit like that, especially with a crash log or whatever. You should be getting you should get a refund. Did you see that Concord ended up getting hacked and they were able to play multiplayer games for just a couple days, and then Sony fucking crushed them. Sony came in and crushed them so quickly, dude. They were like, okay. You think you're going to be able to hack our system? Guess what? It worked for 2 days. You're now done. So that already got kiboshed. But I would have liked to have played it. I would have played it. I would have played just for the sheer, for the sheer audacity of, hey, this game was canceled, was gone, whatever, and now you can play it. Yeah, I would have played it for the hell of it. Would have been fun. Not saying it would have been good, but it would have been fun. What's your overall, like, over under for a return? What do you need to ask for a return? What would cause you, Johnny, to request a return for a game?
Are we talking about a game that has been pulled out like Concord, or more so?
No, game's up and running, but you want a refund. Why? What would cause you to be like, I want a refund for this game right now? Like, how many crashes?
The technical side,
what would you need to see FPS wise? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so on the technical side, I'd be looking at either crashes or like instability like that. Stutters. So if for example, maybe your cutscenes have continuous stutters, or like your audio is desynced, this type of broken stuff. We had that a little bit with Jedi Survivor.
Right.
It kind of smoothed out for me, so I still played it, but that could have been a candidate. And then I think on the gameplay side, if I play something that just isn't fun for me instantly, I just kind of kick it off and I see it's just not for me.
Right.
I know it won't click. I've played 30 minutes of it, and I just know no amount of change in it will fix it. There have been a few of those that I've just returned because I know it's not for me. It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
But it's one where maybe, for example, Silk Song was that case. I know some people might get angry about it. I recognize it's a great game. But I knew pretty quickly, like 1 hour in, that I was not going to enjoy the game. Between the backtracking, some of the frustrations there, I knew it wasn't for me. And I returned it. So that's one example.
It's it's hard, man. I don't know. Like, it just pops up. Low FPS, probably not so much, unless it was consistently like low. If it never achieved acceptable, then I'm like, oh, you know. But like, and I'm not talking about a review thing because I think that's a little different because this is within your 2-hour window of requesting, which is not the same as playing a game all the way through. But if it crashes a bunch, I mean, maybe not once, but I'll tell you what, if I load that thing up and it crashes pretty quickly, probably I'm smart enough to understand my PC could be causing it, you know, so I would look at my PC as well and go, did anything happen? Anything get updated? Any crazy shit? But crashes are pretty high up there. And then the big thing is bugs in the game. Weirdly enough, I think I care much more about that than like performance. What I mean by that is if the FPS is a little shady, that's one thing. But if the item in the game isn't there, you know, it doesn't matter what the FPS is, it's 0 effectively because I'm stuck. That kind of stuff really frustrates me. And you get that with puzzle games. Oh, you open this door too early. This item didn't spawn or whatever. And I'm like, well, then my cash is going to despawn from your fucking wallet and come back to mine right now. Because like that is something you need to take care of. So yeah, those bugs on the other side are. And then I had one game that I wanted to refund and I couldn't because there was no refund at the time that worked. Because if you opened the game, you couldn't return it. So, but I was playing the Xbox game. There was a Gladiator RTS game. Sorry, a turn-based game. And about a quarter of the way through, the sound system went bad. And I don't know if it was printed on the disc or it was a bad translation at times, but it came up multiple times. It was this bug that would pop up where when the woman was talking, the audio would go. So she would be in the middle of a discussion and she'd be like, tonight we fight at the entire time. And it would be like 45 minutes of her making this sound. And I remember I played it once, that happened. I rebooted it. I was like, what the fuck? You know, that's weird. But the game was awesome. I was like, that must just be that one time. It must be a bit of grit on the disc. And I put it back in. And about 15 minutes in, it happened again. And I put that thing in the case and I drove back to Fred Meyer and I plopped it down on the desk. And I was like, I want a refund for this piece of shit right now. And he just pointed at the sign that said no refunds for open box stuff. And I was like, I want to tell you thank you. Good day, sir. I just grabbed the disc and I walked back out. I was like, shit, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that was annoying as shit. Yeah, it was a horrendous audio bug. Audio bugs are rough. Like you get that siren sound.
Super rough.
Yeah, they're tough.
Yeah.
What do we got for? Let's discuss some science and shit. What do we got for like science stuff?
So, I had something. Did you have something? Because you mentioned you had a few.
Maybe, but I can think about them later. What do we got for science stuff?
Well, this week I was looking into some fusion.
Like tokamak?
Nuclear fusion.
Like, are we talking about like tokamak
yes,
reactors?
Yeah,
okay,
tokamak. Gotcha. Yeah, some of these different or generators as they call them.
Yeah.
And well, Lex Friedman had a cool interview with a guy. His company is working on some, and I looked into some other stuff as well about it. I thought it was really interesting because to me it kind of feels like it's at a tech demo to make an analogy to gaming. When you see a tech demo,
right,
that's not a product.
Yeah,
you know, so it's like it kind of works. You know, the character's moving, like stuff is happening.
Right.
But that's not a product you're going to sell even in the, in the years to come. Like you look, 2-3 years. It's when we see like an E3 trailer and it's clearly super early.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I get with this stuff where, we've made some huge progress. And that guy was talking about like really cool tech where they got giant amounts of electricity powering these massive magnets, right? Like this insane setup where they basically keep plasma in like an enclosure through the sheer magnetic force of this thing.
Yeah.
And that's incredible to me, right? Just to think about that. And yet when you look at, okay, what is the end product, and when is it coming? It always feels like with Fusion, we are 5 years away. They keep saying, "Oh, dude, it's coming." And it's always like the plan that is promising to deliver in 5 years, but it's a
Right.
rolling window. It's always 5 years from now. What's your feeling like based on stuff you've seen from Fusion generators and stuff about? Obviously, it's an amazing idea, right? If we
Well, it's
can
got to be
nail
the
that,
number
but-
one idea in games, sci-fi games, by far.
Sure.
Because like everything from like Command and Conquer to whatever, there was always, it's either about it or somebody has it in a vehicle.
Yeah.
Or they
That was
were
the
using
answer.
that for the
That's how
that
they
was
got
the answer.
the energy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also weird because I think most people think of blowing up as being where power comes from. And it does in one area, but in this, it's actually combining atoms to get more power, which is sort of weird when you think about it. Like, because we're so accustomed to like explosion. That's where that's more energy. And they're like, well, yeah, technically in your day to day, that is true. But if you go to like 10,000 degrees Celsius, shit starts getting weird. That's the other thing. The heat amount is ridiculous for that.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the things that I've
Preposterous.
always like looked at when they were talking about and been like, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not saying impossible. I'm just saying you have to have the resources to put together to make it, and then have resources to continue repairing things that need to be repaired, and then you need to build it out so that you can give it to other people. So even if you can do it, and they got to Q 4.5 or something. So above 1, they got to like 4.5 recently. I think it was 4.5 or 4.8, which very good return on energy, but it's still going to take a while. And then you got to build it, get it to other people. I love the idea of it. I just don't know. Like, I don't think it'd be Tokamak. Like they talk about it and you look at how it's set up and it's sort of basic. And then you start seeing, I can't remember the other one, but like not Colander, but it almost looks like that as a word, but that one's a more complex system. And by doing the complexity with the magnets, it actually is it seems to be much easier to actually get it to be a usable thing when it comes to energy output and stuff. So I love that idea. The inertia one I thought was cool, which is where basically like with lasers, they create gravity, which then does this thing. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, that's all insane. I didn't get to see the Lex Friedman one very much. I saw a little snippet of it. The guy talked a little weird, so I was like, I'm out. I'll listen to it later, And it's because I think Lex did what he is supposed to do. Lex is like, you talk, and then an hour and a half later, Lex is like, oh, good. And then another hour and a half. Like, it was that. But I love the idea of it. I love that it's in all of our video games. I mean, everything from like Pacific Rim, or even the hint of it. It doesn't even have to be, this is how big of a deal it is. It doesn't even have to be mentioned as any kind of reactor. If you see a device with like a quark in it, we'll call it a quark because that's what it usually looks like. And it's like sparkling and it's small and it's in a glass. You're like, oh, dude, that's the fusion drive or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's become this thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. It's obviously like for gamers, it's like, oh, it can be small and it can run everything and it can be super self-contained. It's all great, but it seems like they said it's always 30 years ahead of time. It's always 30 years out. Feels like we're closer now, but it does feel like the story of if you chase a rabbit and you get halfway there each second, you'll never fully get there. It does feel like a little bit
It's
like
also It's also really interesting because, like you said, he let that guy talk a lot.
Yeah.
And if you only listen to him and you don't look at any other data, the feeling you get is that we're a breath away.
We are right there
from having this thing installed.
Like
the guy's stuck. You know what I mean?
And running. Yeah, absolutely.
The guy's stuck it, and you get it because it's his
baby.
Life's work.
Yeah.
It's his baby, and obviously they've made huge progress. I mean, it's amazing what they're doing with that. But when you look at real data, you go, oh, this thing is not even, it's not that it's not ready to ship. We haven't made the package in which it could ship
at
all. right? Like this thing is still, but it's, I mean, it's awesome tech, man. What I think though is that fission, no, how do you pronounce that? Fission.
Yeah, you have fission and fusion. But which
Yeah, fission.
fission?
Right?
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
fission. That sounds like
No,
fish.
fission's fission. Fission is. I don't even know.
Yeah.
You know, you might be able to get some
Yeah,
energy from
something
them, but
else.
it would be a small amount. Anyway, but what about it?
Fission has come a long way, man. Like
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah,
new,
safety-wise, it definitely has.
fission power plants,
Mhm.
they're absolutely incredible. And they got these ways of reusing some of the residue as input
Yeah.
to continue, the reaction. And the fact that you don't have to work so hard to keep it going, right? Because it's self-perpetuating in a way, right? Like it's kind of naturally building that reaction out, or like the chain reaction.
Right.
That's also really cool, right? And I mean, the safety of them have come a huge way. I think people still think back to, some of the disasters we've had. The tech looks completely different now to those. I don't know how you feel, and don't want to get too political on it, but I do think like
I don't really think there's
There's some
anything
real value
political
there.
about
Into-
wanting the science of power for
Yeah.
people, and then the political part like sort of comes in above us. It's like, here's what I want. Do I understand the weaknesses? But when you look at like bed reactors, those are the ones where you basically have the pellet bed of actual radioactive stuff that can actually react, and it doesn't run away. It can't run away. They're sort of held in place, and they're a consistent vibe of energy. It's the vibe coding of atomic power. We'll call it that. That's a great idea. China's put some together, sort of, and they don't put out as much, but they put out a good amount. They're still radioactive in their output, but you can also do stuff with their waste that apparently is more efficient than the waste that we get from the others. The thing is, dude, every single thing to create power causes waste, even in nature. I don't, for whatever reason, people are like, oh, we should get everything for free, blah, 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 solar energy. And you're like, okay, solar energy, that's great and everything. Efficiency's absolute dog shit. Some of the worst efficiency of any kind, but I love the idea of it. That would help. Except you are reflecting power back, and then you start getting all this other stuff, So like, no matter what, everything's got a little bit of a caveat to it. I love the idea of this kind of stuff, but I do think that a little bit like interstellar travel, that until humanity becomes severely risk accepting, it won't happen. And it doesn't mean the risk is going to happen a bunch. It means the acceptance that, long story short, if we want humanity to continue, some of us are going to die. And we're currently the opposite way, where we're trying to make sure everybody's taken care of, which is not a bad thing. But it's like sometimes you're like, hey, we want this really powerful thing on a starship. Guess what? A lot of those people just going to explode. Sorry. So if you get on the ship, high chance you're going to explode the first couple dozen we do, which is sort of your NASA versus Elon Musk kind of situation right now, where NASA was super risk adverse. They were like, oh, we want to do this. And luckily with money and craziness, you can just put up a rocket and be like, let's see what happens, and then iterate from there. But I love the idea of it, man. It's in everything, man. It's literally.
What about
in
cold fusion? Because we've been told I mean, I remember, dude, me growing up like in the 90s.
Oh my God.
The movies about cold fusion. This is just in the subconscious, like in pop culture. And it's that one even more is always, 30 years away. That one is in the horizon, but a rolling horizon.
I bet you that most likely what we're going to find out is that something like a cold fusion or whatever would be possible if every single variable was in an absolute, and that we can't hit that, so it will always be unavailable. Like we can't hit the absolute, whether it be, and I don't mean absolute zero, I'm saying where there is no variations, so you get a perfect balance of things, and you figure out, oh, we can do this. Also, one cool thing is we are better at mixing and matching. The thing about the reactors recently is they stated they had an issue with the blanket to, rebound the actual radioactivity. They ended up coating the blanket. I think they called it like it wasn't basalt or cobalt. There was a another name for it, but they blanketed that, which caused a different type of reaction, which ended up fixing the situation instead of like making things much more difficult. It was like, oh, what if we coat, this particular part of our device in a different way? We suddenly have success where we didn't prior. I love that. I think that kind of stuff's possible. But, maybe cold fusion, maybe somebody will be like, hey, man, I got an idea. If we get roller skates and we coat them in leather and glitter, it suddenly becomes cold fusion. I don't know. Maybe that'll happen. But it feels to me like...
it's all that stuff we were sold through movies.
We were sold that it was a quantum particle that you just had to contain within 2 fucking Acme, magnets, like you were watching the Roadrunner. And you were going to somehow, and then you'd have like a Star Trek Enterprise episode where it was just like fucking Data holding onto the magnets, somehow atomically being perfect so that it didn't blow up. And you were like, dude, that's real. Yeah, I love the idea of it, though. I think it's awesome. I think solar's awesome. I think geothermal's awesome, a little dangerous. I love the idea of I love the idea of gravity stuff. Like, so, a waterfall having a dam, and in my brain going, okay, we're not affecting the fish. We just got the water moving. It's gravity. It's already fallen anyway. The gravity generators in the water tides that some of the nations in Europe have is fucking phenomenal, where they have the buoy and it's concreted to the bottom of the ocean. And when the buoy moves up and down, it generates power with the waves. Oh, great idea.
Yeah. That's cool.
Can you power a bunch of shit? No. You have a bunch, it works. Do you have a bunch of issues with sea life? Yes, you do. That's the other problem. Anything we want to build affects something. For years, there was an idea of building basically a tidal gravity generator, which instead of just one of these would be a ring, almost like safety rings in a swimming pool. This thing would go up and down, and it would generate because it was like a snake, meaning any movement would cause friction, generation of power, boom. Guess what else it does? Fucks everything. It fucks it. It fucks your fish. Yeah, of course, because it's magnet. So you're already going to fuck up animals that use that for travel, whatever movement. Screws up different patterns, screws up the waves a little bit. But then let's say you build 100,000 miles of it. Now you're fucking up the tides and how they hit the beach. And now you're fucking up the beach and how the water, you know what I mean?
Damn. Okay.
And nobody thinks about that because we're like, we don't see it. And then 10 years later,
you only see those effects.
You see the effects 10 years later.
When you have the whole thing kind of.
The other big one was if a single oil spill hit it, complete replacement of everything. So the worry was like, or not the worry, the excitement was this thing's always moving, right? It's grooving. It's like the fucking dude at a car sales shop that's filled with air. It's like just super excited you're there. It's like, buy a car. Always energy filled. You're like, this is the fucking greatest thing ever. It's just consistently making power. But the moment oil hit it, it would destroy the fuck out of it because the oil happened to be the one thing that it needed because water and oil don't mix. So therefore, if it worked well in water, guess what it doesn't work well in? Oil. Which is a weird reality. My wife had a talk where she went to like a science talk recently, and they were describing how that's how reality works. So like the one thing that's the opposite will usually be the problem, because of the way the way science works, way atomics works. And so the one thing that would destroy this would be oily substances and any oily substances that weren't.
That's almost a great plot for a movie. I'm seeing this unfold in my head where they create this amazing, buoy system. It's perfect. It's always moving. It's got free energy.
Just because they like them. So
but then like one day, boom, big disaster, oil spill. They discover, oh my God, this breaks the entire thing, and now we're out of power. We're done.
There was a good. Man, it might be Dirk Pitt. I could be wrong on this, but there was a book I read when I was younger, sci-fi, I believe, where there was a particle that they made that was to eat oil. Its job was to eat oil spills, and unfortunately, it slightly adjusted when it was used, and it ate everything that had any connection. Oils in your skin, oils, and so it was destroying everything and trying to figure out how to stop
it. That's
a
good premise,
I think they weren't even able to stop it. If I remember right, it might
they
have been
just
one
lost
of those
to it?
books. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I feel like this was an older book, and it might have been one of those sci-fi books that was like, hey, here's a warning wrapped up in a fairy tale that you can win. And then at the end, it was like, 2 people go off on a ship and hopefully hit a planet. It was one of those dystopian ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched that. It was a good book. Man, that was a long time ago. I'm trying to remember what that was. You know what? I think it was a bacteria. And I think it was Dirk Pitt. I think it was one of the Clive Cussler, Dirk Pitt's books. If it was Dirk Pitt, they won, though, because Dirk Pitt wins no matter what. He's like the water version of James Bond.
Really?
Yeah, Dirk Pitt, exactly. Yeah, Dirk Pitt's like 50 books, 60 books by Clive Cussler. Sahara with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
That's Dirk Pitt.
I've seen that.
He's Dirk Pitt. Yeah, that's the Dirk Pitt character. Basically, yeah, James Bond on water. Very good books when I was growing up. New Stargate's coming out. Yeah, there's a new Stargate. That'll be fun to see.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's been one good Stargate TV show out of like 16, so hopefully this will be the second. I mean, they made Atlantis, which was dog shit, and then they made, there was the original, which was pretty good for a while. And then it was, actually that was pretty good for most of the time. Then they had Atlantis, and then they had, what was it, like Generations? Or they were on I can't remember what it was. Do you remember?
Yeah, they lost me on that one. I still watched Atlantis and I still enjoyed it. But yeah, like, some were pretty rough.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is. I know some people who like Deep Space Nine, and I still can't figure that out. But I did give it a chance. I'm like, I'll give it before I'll diss on something. I'll be like, I'm gonna give this the steady go ahead try. And I got
college try.
A couple seasons into that. So Atlantis, I didn't get more seasons in. I didn't get very far. And then I just sort of fell apart. Effort Me says we need more Ben Bowder. Yeah, we do. He was awesome. Yeah, he was good. What else we got? What time is it? What do we got for time?
We're at like 3 hours 10.
What? I thought we were like an hour and a half. Okay, well, we can wrap it up. What the fuck? Are we really?
I got some couple more.
Yeah, go for it.
Sci-fi things. But if you had some stuff, because you mentioned as well, feel free to.
Mine says 2 hours 40 minutes. Maybe 3:10 is you and I jumping in together.
Oh,
does that make sense? Because mine says 2 hours 40 minutes.
In 20 minutes, it's gonna be 3 hours. 3 hours. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I totally
no worries. I just wanted to make sure that that we didn't really. Yeah. Let's see for science stuff.
I can give you some stuff while you.
Yeah, I don't really have much for science stuff.
No.
Yeah, go for it. What do you got?
Okay, a couple things that I thought were evocative. One, not the idea, but the fact that there are some rogue planets drifting in the galaxy.
Yeah,
so
those are good.
These are entire planets that are not bound to a sun. They're just sort of
doing their thing.
They're on a journey. They're just drifting alone out there. And I thought this was a really cool idea for a sci-fi thing where you're in this planet. Let's say you don't have the technology to travel out of it. So you're in this planet, right? And throughout generations, you go through whole epochs where maybe you have a ton of sun because you're going a bit closer to a certain sun, or like you have no sun in other periods. Other times you can see a bunch of stuff around you, and then maybe you see nothing around you in other generations. That I thought was like a cool sci-fi idea that I haven't really seen explored. Just the idea of a rogue planet is kind of wild.
Yeah, rogue planets would be weird, especially if they still had. They'd probably need a moon for it, but gravity enough to churn up their inside so they still had a molten inside, because then you could have life. It would be like, it feels like it'd cool off well before that thing, got near anything else, but it would still be cool. Yeah, because all the stuff I read is like dual stars or triple stars would throw off planets pretty heavily. Like that planets,
right?
Triple stars in particular are just ridiculous, and with how unstable they are. And they usually, even in simulations, they throw off their planets all the time. And then they throw off. Like one will go off on its own, tearing off other planets with it. They'll go off, and then you'll have the two remain together. I think they, if I remember right, I'm pretty sure, you could check me on this, or we can check later. I'm pretty sure, though, that the telescopes, they've seen a quad star solar system, which would be ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that popped up because I think they were looking to make sure it wasn't gravitational lensing. And they were like, that would be 4 stars. Now, it doesn't mean they're together now. It doesn't mean they stayed together for a long time, right? It's sort of like, you know, if you're into fucking other couples, doesn't mean you guys are going to do it for the rest of your lives, right? One of you guys might have kids, you guys might separate. Just saying. So, but they were, during the time that light hit us and we're seeing it through this telescope, it appears that there's at least, you know, a couple of these 4-star planet or 4-star solar systems. That would be crazy.
I've always wondered, like in these books, the one I'm reading, Empire of Silence, and then other books where planets have 2 suns.
Yeah.
I think Star Wars had that too in Tatooine.
Yep.
They had 2 suns.
Science has proven that is viable.
Would be possible.
Perihelion, the center of mass between the two, is equal or even. You could have that because you would have a star. You would have basically planets going around. They would have a more oval style structure, but they would still be able to go around normally. It's 3 that shit goes south. And when I was a kid,
wasn't that the plot with the
3-body problem
with the show? Yeah, 3-body problem.
But it was a plot well before the 3-body problem was like the Harry Potter of 3-star. You know, like it was sort of like it's popular now, but it's, you know, it's like this has been covered by multiple sci-fi authors for years. But basically, yeah, 3 stars is ridiculous. And you can do Star System Simulator, I think, on PC. It's there's the name of it. I don't think it's Star System Simulator, but it's a simulator that does stars, it does planetary stuff. Maybe it's Universe Simulator, and you can put 3 stars together and watch how quickly shit just goes absolutely south, and because there's just too many interactions at that particular point. But
yeah,
it'd be cool to be a rogue planet would be sort of scary in the idea of like coming into somebody else's planetary system and just wreaking havoc. Like, can you imagine if, like, you know, they're looking through the telescopes and they're like, that's an asteroid. It's slightly moving, but it's not moving that much. And you realize it doesn't appear to be moving that much because it's coming straight at you and it's just getting fucking bigger. And the idea of like, we have a Jupiter-sized whole ass planet coming over here. You would hope that was a Death Star, because if it wasn't, the fuckery is going to take even longer. It's going to be devastating. Yeah. Shit would be crazy. You know what always surprises me is they say if you're on the moons of Jupiter, seeing its ring structure is more difficult on some of those moons because they're so thin and they're face on you, because we see them like cantied. What do we see? Like, I think I'm doing my hand right. I think that's what we see if we take pictures of them, unless it's
angled or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when I was a kid, I thought those things were like, you know what I mean? I thought they were maybe not necessarily super thick or whatever, but substantive. And now when you start to hear about it, you're like, oh no, they can be on some planets are super thin. I think they found ones didn't they find ones on a planet that we didn't think had rings for years, and they found rings around it? I think that they did. I'll have to check into the news. I think I heard that. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. I also saw that there was a white dwarf called Lucy that had a carbon core that was basically a diamond the size of the Earth.
An eradicated diamond. That would be some radioactive diamond, man. But that would be pretty sweet. Yeah.
That's insane. Just like the proportion of that.
They called it Lucy?
Blew my mind. Yeah. It's funny because usually they have some crazy names like...
Yeah.
You know, just a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like how weird stars are when you get stars that are just incompatible with life, and you find out that like a majority of stars are like that, or majority of stars are of a particular size, particular age, and you're just like, damn, you know, none of this shit's going to work out for us. You know, we're not going to be investigating these. I used to always, when I was a kid too, in sci-fi books, a lot of times they just traveled to star systems, right? They had the Mysterium drive. They would just let them pop anywhere they wanted. You know, the Mysterium Drive, you just jump in like a car, and as long as you want to go there, you can get there. And you jump to this star, and you're like, oh, wow, and this star over here, and oh, there's other planets here. And then over time, you see Star Trek, and it's like, well, it takes a little longer. We're on week 2 of our, and you're like, okay, week 2, that's fine, because I can still do that number in my head. Week 2 is fine. And then you get to later TV shows, movies, and they're like 6 months, and then it's like 6 years, and then you have like Old Man's War. That's like 67 years later they get there to do a fight, and you're like, damn, man, shit's gone downhill. Our travel. Why is technology worse now than it was 40 years ago? God damn it. That's why I feel, man. I feel like technology's got worse, because back then, man, all these ships instantly, every sci-fi I read, 7 minutes. They do a little jump. What did Star Wars had like warp, and you never really even understood how long, or hyperspace, right? You never understood how long. You just saw some stars, and you're like, well, if the stars are moving that fast, we're get up and going. Like we're gonna be there. You got to make sure Grandma doesn't even need to worry about taking a piss, because we're gonna be able to get to Tatooine. Mustafar, we're going to be able to jump between those, you know.
And it was ridiculous because they were going from like one extreme of the galaxy to another. They would describe it as like, you know, we're going to this distant system that's supposed to be like in the way outer edge.
And it was long enough, just long enough for Han Solo to make a comment that was the Force was stupid. And then they would be done. They would be done. They'd be like, it's like the Vampire Diaries of space travel. They'd show up, be like, let's start class, and then class would be over, and be like, okay, let's move on.
And those shitty ass looking ships
in Star Wars
would just like, yeah,
dude, that's the thing.
They're
Star
barely
Wars,
held together.
So listen to this. Crazy enough, his growing up as a young boy, which is American Graffiti, is him as a kid. That's George Lucas's original, like, sort of his life, what it was like. Not every muscle car needed to look nice. It just had to have an engine that would do and deliver. That's why Star Wars is the dystopian, somewhat, future, and why those ships look like that, because they attracted him, which is jalopies having amazing engines. You would still have the, 440. You'd still have somebody with a Charger or somebody with some kind of, like, unique vehicle that looked nice. But you would also have those jalopies that had the insane engine, and that there is a Millennium Falcon, which is the ugliest fucking sideways, cross-eyed, but only got one eye somehow ship I've ever seen in my life. When you look at that thing, you're like, dude, that'd be a bitch to fly, number one. Imagine flying an F-16 by having your cockpit on the wing. Come the fuck on, right?
Yep.
If you were a test pilot for that, you'd be on the wing looking over going, dude, what are we doing? Like, what are we fucking doing? It doesn't matter that it supposedly flies in space, because it also flies in the air. We saw that. And they built this piece of shit with a giant glass dome and a radar dish that, for whatever reason, props up like 9 feet high. That's so fucking weird. It's just a terrible design. Yeah, sorry. I think, or the Slave One, which is quite literally a fucking clothes iron on its face. That's all the Slave One is. Look at Boba Fett's ship. It is a clothes iron that has been flipped up, just like clothes irons do when you wait to go get some clothes to iron them. That's all that shit is. It's just fucking gross. Just nasty. And they fly around. They do amazing shit. I love the idea, man, of the X-Wing. I thought the X-Wing looked awesome because it looked like a center-based ship with its little...
Yeah, that actually made some sense.
It made some sense. And then they invented the Y-Wing, and you're like, that's it. You can only have one success in like 16 years. You invented the Y-Wing. Ugly-ass ship. What about this?
Actually, I've always wondered why the X-Wing hasn't been a thing. But here's
a bigger question. Yeah. When you were a kid, did you ever try to figure out the logistics of a Star Destroyer getting AT-AT walkers onto Hoth? How do you land a giant... And by the way, movie books and stuff have covered this. But before that, all you saw was Star Destroyers, big ships, baby ships, giant dogs made of metal with people inside shooting the fuck out of things. And you were like, there is no connective tissue technology.
True.
Dude, those things show up and you're like, what the fuck? They're so awesome.
What's the deployment of
this? And then you go to Endor in Return of the Jedi, and they show one time for a brief second before the battle, and it's walking in this little tiny section, because why? Trees. How the fuck is a giant 400-foot tall dog going to walk in a goddamn forest other than on particular lines that the rebels are going to know you're traveling on anyway?
It's completely fucked.
Dude, it's
in
ridiculous.
Any terrain outside of the...
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you
It
what,
is.
when those things fucking fire off, like when they power up their, they blow up the Haas generator, they're like, you know, and they fire those two main... man, that was
goes
awesome.
hard,
and
man.
that thing blew up, and I was just like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Because I
But
was
it's
rooting
true,
for the
those
bad
big
guys.
destroyers, they
Yeah,
can't
there's no
take
middle-
off. That thing
No.
cannot take off from a planet.
Yeah,
They have
it's-
to be built in space or
all
something.
it has is the big vulva in the center, or fucking birthing canal that little small ships come out of. But you never see an
Yeah.
AT-AT come out of that.
It would,
so
it
you're
would
like,
be
what's
impossible to launch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do? Just
That's-
jettison that bitch and be like, "Man, I hope you
Oh,
land right. And I
yeah.
hope you get near where we need."
You build them right out there in space. That's it.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
only way.
I do love that all the movies, or sorry, all the books have tried to fill this in, because the movies did have such a big gap. And when you watch other shows like a Star Trek or whatever, that gap is pretty well filled. It's Star Wars in particular which has caused a lot of the weird jokes about, like, you know, Jedi just ripping shit up and stuff like that. But it is weird that Star Wars in particular has such a definitive and noticeable technological line in some places.
Yeah.
Because it's him wanting to get to the next scene and not worrying about that stuff, which is totally fine. I mean, Star Wars is awesome. Like, whatever. I'm not
Yeah.
teasing. I mean,
It is
I'm
funny
teasing
when-
it, but it's fantastic.
When these other authors are coming in and they're trying to
Take over.
find like plausible explanations for these things, like,
Yeah.
Just stretching the limits of...
Yeah, J.J. Abrams,
Everything.
God bless his soul,
Yeah.
one of the worst creators known to man. Like, the fact that he got a hold of Star Wars and just... It's so funny, because I remember thinking that the next 3 movies after the original was sort of a step down, you know? I saw, whatever his name is, Jar Jar Binks out there doing his Rastafarian dance, going, that's a little questionable. Like, that's a little odd. That seems a little old manish with this accent and everything, but whatever. You see Attack of the Clones and you're like, okay, pretty cool battles, some oddity, really bad love story, and you got Natalie
terrible,
Portman, who's
cringy
definitely
dialogue.
heart is dead. Like, Natalie Portman doesn't
Yeah.
know how to act opposite a male actor ever. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then you see the third movie and you're like, hey, you know what? We got some angst. We got him yelling, I hate you. We got some good plot. And then you have J.J. Abrams, who comes in and single-handedly,
Yep.
quite literally, karate chops
Holy
the
shit.
neck
Yeah.
of anything. It's so rare I see that lack of tact in somebody, and to see like how
Yeah.
bad that was done. And again, I thought the other two were done pretty bad, but I remember after watching the new ones going, holy shit. Did
No,
I
those
not
were
know
good.
How good I had it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Just being like,
Yeah, because I
God
remember
damn.
when the pre-sequels came
Mhm.
out, talking about episodes 1, 2, 3, the first was received kind of poorly. It was looked at as,
like,
hey, dude, it's a massive drop in quality, blah, blah, blah. Then second one also got a lot of shit for the dialogue and everything. I think the third one was received quite well overall. I like that one. I've heard a lot of good things about it from other people. But then, yeah, it's funny because the new trilogy, man, people, they just feel like they were blessed with the pre-sequels.
I feel blessed. I feel like I
Yeah.
can live through Attack of the Clones. I can live through Dooku's bent Shanker lightsaber. Sure, he's holding a dick.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Those are now the good ones.
Those
or,
are now the good
some
ones.
of the good ones. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Those are like,
Jar Jar
Yes.
is funny
Jar
enough.
Jar
you know,
is better. By the way, and this is not a joke, Jar Jar is better. I don't like Jar Jar. I think like it's just questionable in all ways. I still
Yep.
like Jar Jar better than many of the actual human actors in the new ones that are just deplorably, they're just bad. Like I don't know. But you know what? He's like, he did Lost, right? Like he's sort of the master of throwing shit against the wall and then just either he or somebody else comes and grabs it and puts it together. And sometimes it works. It didn't work with Star Wars. In fact, I think with Star Wars, it did whatever it did.
Yeah.
You got, of all things, you got like Mark Hamill out there going like, what the fuck is this? It's bad when your star is like, God damn.
what the fuck are
you
we
done
doing,
fucked
guys?
this up, JJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was I remember seeing the previews for it and thinking it looked pretty good. The newest 3 and thinking like, "Oh yeah, Kylo Ren, he's got a V8 sounding lightsaber which sounds like something a 40-year-old would think was cool. Like what if we had what if the lightsaber made a fucking engine sound?" You're like, "Okay, whatever. He's obviously lost touch." But a lot of the other stuff looked pretty okay. And then I saw the cross guards on the lightsaber and I was like, hold up. Interesting. Probably not the greatest, but whatever. And then it just got worse, man. It was like no matter what I did, I was like, and I tried to give that a lot of leeway. I was like, okay, V8 cross guard, European, couldn't figure it out. Might as well have just been a katana. I found plenty of stuff to latch on. It wasn't a katana lightsaber because that would have been even worse. But
yeah, because my self cope was, hey, I like Rey quite a bit.
Yeah,
I like the actress.
Yep, me
I think
too.
She looks great in the movie. Maybe there's a cool arc there, and I was just waiting for the arc, and it just never happened. Like there was just never anything interesting with her.
Yeah,
it's almost like you're watching the wrong porn movie, and you keep waiting for the girls to show up, and they just never show up.
Number 1 never happened to me ever. Ever, because I know the name. And number 2, speaking of the arc, I think I was also sold on the fact that Harrison Ford was coming back. I think I was sold on the fact that Luke or that Mark Hamill was coming back. I like Lando Calrissian. What's his name? Lando Calrissian, the guy who played that. I like all the older actors, so I was sold on the idea that this was years later. These guys had decided, we're going to go ahead and do this, and then we got, what we got.
Whatever that was.
Yeah, whatever that was.
I mean, even Palpatine couldn't save that.
No. So. Dude, do you ever wonder if, like, Palpatine, he came back and he was like, dude, just kill me now. It'd be cool if in, like, the end of the first one.
Fucking kill me now.
And then you have one of the coolest enemies that had a question mark, which was Snoke, get killed randomly in the middle of a battle that didn't even involve him as a direct opponent, technically. It was so weird, man. It's so disjointed.
Yeah.
It was so disjointed. I like Snoke. I didn't like him, but I like mystery, and I like that you didn't know. You were like, oh, what exactly, like what is he, a apprentice? Is he somebody even more powerful? He's huge. How does he fight? Because I always wonder that when I see a Sith show up.
No,
I'm
definitely.
always like, okay, how's this? If he's 18
it's
feet
gonna
tall,
be awesome.
Does he fight Yoda, who's 3 inches tall? How the fuck does that work?
I hadn't thought about the Yoda
I'm just
combo.
saying, that's like a 69 with a 4 foot and an 8 foot person. You're going to have some weird.
Yeah.
It's going to be more like a 39.
Some of the logistics.
Maybe a 42. Yeah. So I was like, oh, how are they going to fight? What lightsabers? Going to do duel. We're going to have Ben Shanker lightsabers, whips, and they did whips in the TV show. They did lightsaber whips in the TV show. But they didn't really amount to much. And Snoke gets chopped in half. And it's over. He just dies.
Yeah, it's just inconsequential.
I think it would have been cool to see Luke. I don't mind Luke having lost his mojo. I think that works quite well. And I think the Kylo Ren thing with him, like, losing his belief in the good guys and stuff, I think that works. I just think, in all honesty, the ideas work and that the director was horrid. Like, he didn't put it together well. Those ideas work fairly well. You could do something with that. I mean, I like the idea of Luke having maybe lost family members and being like, I need to leave because I'm too powerful and whatever I do is fucking everything else up. That's doable. That's doable. It's just not doable by that jackass, man. I don't want him touching shit. Like, every time J.J. Abrams' name is mentioned in something, I'm like, man, I wish that guy...
Also, like, the characters just didn't have good arcs. I mean, that could have been a good vehicle for them to have good arcs. But they didn't, and they just weren't very interesting characters.
I think in video games, stuff like that works a little better because sometimes the idiosyncrasies and the oddities, you're playing gameplay sometimes, so maybe your brain doesn't hinge until a later YouTube video like me is like, the 10 things you didn't believe about this game. And you're like, yeah, I never even noticed that. But with a movie, you only got 2 hours, 3 hours. So it's like, it's right there. And it's much easier because I've ignored some idiosyncrasies with games. The Last of Us has huge plot destroying problems in that game. But if you ignore them because you're playing it, it's okay. You're just like, okay, whatever. I'm going to buy off on this because, I'm playing a game at the
Yep.
time and I'm interacting with it. I think that's why games get away with it a lot and why sometimes it's actually better as a game. I think some of the movies we see better as games, some of the games we see maybe not better as movies, maybe better as TV shows. And that's why I think Dispatch worked well, because it was like a TV show made into a game that was in a form of a TV show because it was released episodic.
Without the awkward game part of walking around.
Exactly. Fingering and fondling everything. Can I lift this vase? Who gives a fuck, man? Like, if there's zombies everywhere, why are you lifting up the Chinese vase to look underneath it?
Yeah.
Just
slowly, awkwardly walking.
You're fighting people off. You're looking under the rug. You're fondling shit, rubbing the fucking doorknob. It's like, dude, what are you doing? But with Dispatch, they let all that happen in the way they wanted it to happen. They were like, we're going to present you this happening, then you make the choices between. Worked so well.
And it's funny because you would think, like, you're throwing the baby with the baby water kind of thing with that. Baby with the bathwater, something would be lost with that. Mm-hmm. And not really. It's one of those moments of clarity where we actually didn't need that, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
like nothing of value was lost.
Nothing of value was lost, yeah. I would like to see maybe more games do the episodic when it's done, kind of episodic, where it's done. Right? Because that's the problem. I played Blues and Bullets. Blues and Bullets was great. And then it went 2 episodes and they didn't get it done. So you have this great episodic game that's only 2 episodes and it needs to be 3. And that's pretty rare. It doesn't happen all the time. But then you get a game like a Telltale game that goes on way longer than it should. They're like, oh, we're getting it ready. We're getting it ready. We're getting it ready. And then it'll go. I heard some people bitching that Dispatch wasn't all at once. And I was like, yes, it is all at once. You just fucking sit your ass down and wait. That's it.
Yep.
Sit down and wait. Deal with it. Just like if it was on another system, deal with it. Even though I see where that person's coming from, at the same time, episodic works for that particular game. And it works for the excitement. I don't quite know if we would have the continued discussion about Dispatch if it had all been at once. Because the release pattern, if you look, it was released in the midst of a bunch of big games. And people didn't play it right away. You look at the concurrent, you can see that. They played on a returning weekly visit time. This is, by the way, all backed up with Steam numbers. Go look. And you can see the concurrents going up every time they release new episodes. People were getting done playing games. They were hearing about it. It's an episodic game in an episodic structure that was released episodically. I love that idea. And I want to see
I mean, we
more.
kept talking about it throughout, the 3-4 weeks because of that.
Yeah.
And it fits so well into a play session because you could just bang out the 2 episodes. That's what we did in the voice chats and stuff. And I think for those games, it works, man.
I think also I would like to see it because right now you have the arbitrary weekly stuff like in MMOs. You have the battle passes. You have all this other kind of stuff. I'd like to see, I don't know. I don't want to see like normal games go that route, but I also would like to see less of it. So the episodic thing, I'd like to see less of it in MMOs and live service games and see them release bigger stuff. I like the weekly. I understand why people like it. But it feels like sometimes it's really lean. Like, here's a new skin and a new achievement that doesn't matter that you get if you sign in this week. And in a way, I'm like, well, what if we waited 2 or 3 weeks? So there was a couple things, a little bit easier to get back into. But I don't know. Like, I'm not saying I know that would work. I'm just saying for me, I feel like might be a tiny bit more enticing for MMOs.
But I think when done well, it can have the effect of keeping people engaged with it. Whereas it might be tougher to make you return to it like 2 months after because there's a very big content patch. It might be easier to keep people engaged week after week when there is something new. Like, for example, what they did with Arc Raiders, where the community needed to donate some resources to unlock a new map. That kept people pretty engaged because they were like, oh, okay, there's something to grind for. we're going to be rewarded with a cool new map. It's going to happen in like a fairly short time frame. And that looks like it works really well.
Right, but you said but you're agreeing with me. What do we disagree?
Oh, I thought you meant more instead of like a short-term thing like that with the map, which was like between like 2-4 weeks, maybe a longer-term thing.
No,
where they
I'm saying
release a
currently
bigger
on
content
MMOs,
patch.
you have dailies, weeklies, bi-weeklies, and monthlies. I think that's too much.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
But I think
Okay.
bi-weekly or monthly is fine. But if you're getting stuff daily, weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly, I'm sorry, there is something fucked up going on. Like that to me means that the daily can't even matter. Let me give you an example why. If it did matter, Monday would be hyper important. Tuesday would be hyper important. And pretty soon, you couldn't not log on. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Right? I think we all agree that is probably what they want. I still think it would be
the
highly
daily
useful
bonuses,
to do bi-weekly. Yeah, daily bonuses. We
adding
see Wins Where Wins Meet does a daily bonus. Luckily, it's super small. And I noticed that right away because I always look at the daily bonus versus like all the other stuff. And if it's like $1 and I get $1,000 a day, I'm like, whatever. But if it's $500 and you get 1,000 a day,
yep,
that's going to be a noticeable. There's going to be a lot of traction to the feel of that sign-in that's going to matter.
Well, the worst ones are the ones where you build up over time. So, day one bonus.
Oh, like a piece of rice each
crap.
day of a calendar, like the old puzzle. Yeah,
but
dude.
Like if you make it to day 50, it's a huge bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you miss one day, it's gone.
Yeah.
You start back from day one.
Penalizing.
That's the worst, dude.
Yeah, that's penalizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime something's like, oh, hey, bro, you tried and you're like, bitch, my internet was down. Bitch, all the internet was down. Cloudflare went down. They're like, sorry, bro, you didn't make it. I'm like, okay, I need to know where you are because I'm coming to that office and I'm getting my 55 Skybucks or whatever. Dude, that's funny.
Yeah.
I hadn't forgot about I hadn't remembered so it's like one, it's almost compounded, where like
your
in the
streak
old story,
or whatever.
It's like, here's your rice piece on the first, the second, third. Pretty soon you have $1 billion. And I love the idea of like trying to sign into a game and it's like you're at your $1 billion day and you're like,
or the game is down, like maintenance window.
Dude.
Oh,
dude, that'd be rough. Yeah, I would like to see that done a little less to cause
definitely
a little bit more of a draw to play it and the experience to be a tiny bit more, so that every day wasn't just what I've seen, which is unfortunate as shit. I've seen people sign in and sign out. That to me is almost purely business transaction for the company winning, meaning the company can show they have a certain number of concurrent players, but in real life, there is absolutely nothing real about that concurrent player base at that particular time. That's bothersome to me. I'd like to see that changed. But some games do continued content great. Final Fantasy does it. I don't know what they have now, but I know in the past they did it great for a long time. We've seen, and they have a daily, don't they? In Final Fantasy, don't they have a daily in Final Fantasy?
Yep.
So, yeah. I don't think I do a lot of games with dailies. I'm trying to remember if I even.
I mean, Monster Hunter had them. A lot of these Japanese ones.
Wilds.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember Worlds having it, but it may have. I'm just saying it's been a long time.
They did.
Okay.
But honestly, it wasn't that meaningful.
I guess. Yeah, I was gonna say I have a feeling if I went back and looked, I was like,
even as someone who had like a big daily streak, where I was getting like some herbs or herbs, depending
herbs
the way you pronounce.
Yeah.
Like, dude, watch me care. You're giving me 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Healing herbs.
That's my real question, though. What's the longest daily sign-in that is verified by the company that you've ever had? How many is the most days? Do you remember looking at like Final Fantasy and it said 900 days and you're like, I need to die? Or were you like, this is 900, look at how cool I am? Like what? Because I'm assuming it's Final Fantasy. It's got to be Final Fantasy for you, right?
Probably, yes.
League of Legends, actually?
League doesn't have that. So I wouldn't know. And I take breaks, so it's not.
Oh, sure.
So I wouldn't have that daily streak. But maybe Final Fantasy. I remember, funny enough, Animal Crossing. Might not expect that.
Animal Crossing,
dude. That had so for the first like 2 months, I showed up every day for that game because it had this mechanic where if you didn't show up the next day, let's say you took like a day's break or 2 days and you came back, your villagers in your island would be like heartbroken. They would be like, dude, where have you been? We missed you. We were devastated without you. And I couldn't bear with I had to show up for my villagers, man. And the worst thing, when I then stopped like 60 days after, I was super burnt out with the game, took a couple days break. I couldn't bring myself to return to the game because I knew my villagers would be like completely devastated.
So, dude, are your villagers still there waiting for you?
I never came back to this day. They're there.
Okay.
And I will never return.
Imagine the amazing some YouTuber who's really good at being like, you wouldn't believe what's going on in this game, blah, 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 with a
2 years after
face on their thumb.
Yeah.
That would be amazing, though, if you did a video series called like Returning to, or I don't know, Returning to Daddy or whatever, and you go and it's just you going back, and all these villagers desiccated, some probably murdered each other. Maybe not, but that would be amazing to return to a game because, you know, obviously the game states probably nothing has changed, but I mean, I'm assuming it tracks. So if they're like missing you, that's probably the end of it, right? In that game, just missing you, right? They're probably,
or is it?
I'm
picturing a Black Mirror episode where you're the villager, and you now have been abandoned
your God
for
has
2 years.
You know,
nothing is happening in your island.
Yep.
Day after day.
Yep.
And you're just waiting for your human to return.
Dragging through life with nothing happening. The coconuts don't taste coconutty. The heat doesn't warm you. It's just a terrible life until Johnny comes back. I like the idea of this. I think you should do a video called like Returning and just be like, hey, what's up, buddies? And they're just excited. They're peeing themselves. Everybody's just so excited you're back. And then the next day,
they've eaten each other at this point. They've all become cannibals. There's one giant
villager. You come back, and there's just one huge fucking villager there. Just tight
what happened to the others? It's like,
he's like Jabba Nobara.
Nothing.
And you're like, wait, what's happening? What's going on? He just ate them all, slowly living off the other villagers. Now I like that. See, that's a Black Mirror episode right there, where it's all caused by you. Everybody else's unhappiness, everybody else's whatever is caused by the fact that you felt bad about returning. You're like, you know, I didn't want to return. I felt like I might be slightly depressed. And they're like, we ate each other because of you. Because of you, little Johnny was eaten. I like it. I like it. I want to make a movie of this. I think it'd be good. You go back to the island, and it's like Heaven's Gate, where all Nikes and purple drapes over the bodies. There are all Nikes. I have no fucking clue.
I don't know what that's a reference to.
Yeah. Well, Heaven's Gate's a reference to the cult who killed themselves because of the fucking asteroid or the comet, but I have no fucking clue what the other thing is. Johnny went for milk and never returned.
Never returned. Oh, like your dad.
Animal Crossing is literally built around coming back daily. Literally. It's literally built. Literally. I love that character.
That was so good.
It's so great, man. Parks and Rec is the shit. It's literally. One of the best lines is he says, science says that there is a person who is born or is already born who's going to live to be 130. I literally am that person. And I just, everything about Rob Lowe's delivery in that show is so good, fantastic, man.
He has I think he had a podcast, didn't he? Or at least I saw some clips.
It's called Literally.
Yeah, Literally.
The podcast is that.
With Rob Lowe.
The other one that is amazing is halfway through the show, he breaks up with what's her name, and he's so nice, she doesn't know they broke up. And she tried to French him that night, and he's like, yeah, it was a little weird. You tried to kiss me. And she keeps talking, and she's like, oh my God. And I tried to kiss you. And he's like, that did make it uncomfortable. Because if you hear, they flash back, and he's breaking up with her. He's like, I think we should see other people. And she's like, yeah, because he's always so positive about everything. I'm just like,
Oh,
man.
he was like conflict avoidant or something?
No.
that?
He's so positive that he was breaking up with her
Oh.
and she did not know. Because he was like, I'm going to move, I'm going to leave. And she's just like, yeah, great. You know, because that's just the way he was. He was always the go-getter. Right. So she had no clue he broke up with her. And then he's going to move. And he says, I'm going to move. And she's like, you're not going to move with me? And he's like, we broke up. And she's like, what? And then they flash back to it. And he's breaking up with her the entire time. And it's just,
oh my God, that's so good.
So good.
Yeah.
Do we, I gotta rewatch that show for the third time. Yeah, dude, it's the greatest,
so nice,
man. It puts a smile on my face. Those kind of shows, they put a smile on my face, man. Even when they're sad, because they're sad as shit. That's the other thing. If I did a show, if I was lucky enough to do a show, Johnny, I wouldn't have the depressing ending. Almost every comedy has to do it. Friends has them bawling and gushing over each other and fucking, you know, what's her name's crying and falling all over herself. Even Parks and Rec was like, hey, we're gonna have what's her name move with Rob Lowe. It may be terrible, but my ending would be probably the beginning where I'd be like, we're still having fun. We're just eternally having fun. Because I hate comedies that try to be serious for that last episode. MASH did it. You know, I'm like, no, man. No, not for me.
I mean,
not for me.
You can see why they want to give you some closure.
Yeah,
but
I don't like it.
I get anxiety of like knowing it's gonna end.
Happen? Yep,
you know, like
same.
someone's gonna move. Like, you know, it's just like stuff is gonna change.
You know it's gonna.
That's why I like those long shows.
Stranger Things is coming, and you know people are gonna be like, it's the kid's last show. They're,
sure.
You know, some are gonna move. She's banging Bon Jovi, whatever the fuck his name is. You know, so you think of him
Bon
differently.
Jovi?
She married Bon Jovi's son.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, she's married to Bon Jovi's
his son.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Bon Jovi, that'd be a little weird. He's 67.
I thought, damn, dude.
She's out there banging it. No, I mean, hey, you know, you do you, but you know, hey.
I mean, he's still, you know, still a handsome man.
And in some third world country, that would be legal. Well, it's still legal everywhere, but that would be really, people talk about age differences in marriages, and you see them. Somebody was bringing up like George Clooney and Emile Clooney one day, and I was looking at their ages going, what the fuck ever? Shut the fuck up. Go live your life. Take a shit. But
that wouldn't even be an age gap. That would be an age canyon.
That would be geological age gap. But that would be something where you'd be sitting back and somebody would be like 18
multi-generational,
67 or whatever, and you'd be like, wait, what?
it's like, you know, she took a trip on one of these colonizing ships where she was frozen for 2 generations.
Dude, that's crazy. No, but I feel that way about those shows. Like you said, I love the longer term shows where you sort of get the fight.
Yeah, because you know, it's gonna be like that for a prolonged time.
I hate them when they end. I like the ones where they say something along the line of, and they continued adventuring. Or blah, 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 blah. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
I just don't need to see the Debbie Downer ending where, like,
honestly,
somebody dies of
for
cancer.
that reason, I haven't seen the ending of most of these. Parks and Rec, I've seen how it ends.
Okay, that's fair.
Pick any of these long-running shows like Big Bang Theory, Brooklyn. I haven't seen the ending, man. Because I prefer to live in the Goldilocks zone.
By the way, it mimics the exact conversation we just had about video games and why people aren't completing them as much. And it's my belief that there's the thought of, I can always go back to it. I enjoy it. And you'll hear people say, I love this game, but I didn't complete it. I wonder why. And I'm
You're not closing a door behind you.
Exactly. And if you look at shows, it seems to replicate that pretty clearly, that some people don't like that. Some people they're okay with beating it and coming right back. I'm okay with watching a show and coming right back. But I do understand where you're coming from, because when I hear people talking about games sometimes, and I hear these often repeated, I haven't beat that. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You have 65 games that you say you love, and all 65 you've never beat. And by the way, these complaints that I was hearing was, I got to the last boss, or I got to the last 1 hour of the game and I haven't completed. I'm like, okay, there's something mentally going on. That's not like accidental. There were so many examples these people were giving during the discussion, because there was like 20 people in the discussion, and everybody was saying the same thing. I also realized it was an age thing. Very much so. That slightly older people skewed towards the completion of it, the checking off. We've completed it, and we moved on regardless of the attitude. And then prior to that, it was more the grind or the day-to-day they liked. And when it started to wrap up, they realized the promise of a good experience day-to-day was slightly going away the closer they got to the end. So they stopped wanting to get to the end subconsciously. And they were like, and by the way, the number of people who haven't beat Red Dead 2 is fucking phenomenally high.
Sure.
I was blown away in that chat. In that chat, over 50% of the people had got to the point to where a specific thing happens that makes you wonder if something bad is occurring. And I think we can guess what that is. There's just a moment where you're like, is he coughing? That's it. And people stop playing. And I was like, whoa, we're so risk adverse, or not risk adverse, but like feeling, you know, people give me shit for not feeling. I'm like, bitch, you didn't even complete your $60 game because you're so afraid of it. Like, what the fuck? Play the goddamn thing. Yeah, but they stopped playing because the worry of the slide was noticeable. They had this very big worry that there was going to be a particular problem. They were going to notice a character being ill or being sick or whatever. They didn't want to play it, which I don't know. It's just odd because I didn't expect that many people to have that many.
I could see that, especially with long games where you've got really used to, you know, the gameplay loop and maybe the characters and stuff. You don't want it to end. I can see that. That makes sense to me.
I can too.
Maybe not with a short game, you know? Like,
right. I can also see you having to pee. You told me prior to this podcast, hey, Carrick, I may have to pee halfway through the podcast. The podcast is now longer than almost all of our other podcasts, and you still haven't peed.
Here we are.
We can wrap
like
it up.
Champs,
I didn't realize what time. What are we at?
Beautiful.
What are we at?
Almost 4 hours now. If
mine says 3:30, so somehow you've got 30 extra minutes. I don't, but I think I'm using OBS.
No, you're right again. Okay. In my head, I thought we started at 10 your time, but we started at 10:30.
You put me in a time loop twice. I'm like, am I dating a Bon Jovi here? Am I older or younger than I think?
Oh,
dude, can you imagine that? If you were like 18, young, virile, 87-year-old woman comes up to you.
Let's be honest. We all wanted to look like John Bon Jovi or Richie, his guitarist, Richie Sambora.
When they were of normal age.
With the tight leather pants when they were 20, you know, like back in 1980s or whatever.
I think in the history of ever, I've never once wanted to wear leather pants. But you know why?
Even like deep inside?
No, never. But I think there's two reasons why. One, leather doesn't breathe, and I knew because of motorbike riding grips and gloves.
True.
So the idea of putting that around your package was a big negative.
I really hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
And then Friends, when Ross puts on the leather pants and can't get them off again, and then takes them off and can't get them back on. I haven't seen that. Friends has one of the best episodes in history about like trying to look cool. He does his teeth white, and he puts on a pair of leather pants when he breaks up with his wife, and it is one of the best episodes of television. He has to use fucking baking powder to get him off or get him back on because he's sticky, because he takes him off to go to the bathroom. Dude, you need to see it. It's a primo episode about like trying to look cool, but being uncomfortable.
There's some practicality there.
Yeah, some practicality. Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying. I do agree. Yeah, we all wanted to look cool at him, but like not.
I mean, generally, maybe not the leather pants.
Yeah, maybe not the leather pants. Maybe the Bojangles. Maybe not that part. They always had the big medallions. I don't know if you remember. The bare chest,
when he's like, with the hair chest.
With the 6-string on my back. And he's got like the leather hair that looks like a fro. And yeah. That was good times back then, man. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to let you guys go. We're fucking meandering. We've been meandering for a while. Leather is hot. That is true. We're going to get going. I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good time. Watch some TV shows, what have you. That'll be it for us. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, I didn't realize it had gone.